Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Heroes CCL, week number 2, day number 1. My name is Bahamut, and I am joined by the Age of Empires king, Grubby, and the person that opens the door for springing. We got Justing as well. How are you two doing today, Grubby? How have you been, my friend?
Yeah, I've been very good, mate. It's been a long 5 days since our last CCL day, and I'm ready for some awesome games. Hope we're gonna go the distance. I'm looking forward to some of the best meta-defining Heroes of the Storm play.
Oh, meta-defining Heroes of the Storm play is where CCL is at. Would you not agree, Justing?
Yep, definitely agree, and I think our matchup today is going to be a good one to see that for sure, with some of the best teams we've got playing today. Really excited.
We got a lot of Heroes of Storm action today for you all at home, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. The first thing we got to break down for you is going to be that prizing here, but also we got to be transparent with you at home as well. 60% of the donations will be going towards said prize pool, first place taking 35%. Over on the right side of the screen, as I say every week, every broadcast, we like to be transparent. We want you to understand where the other 40% is going, and it is to create graphics and run shows and, well, have an amazing broadcast like you all see in front of you. And because of your support, we have hit $2,545. And if you'd like to donate to the prize pool or even check out the Matcherino page, you can use !prize pool in chat to find out all the information you need. Really cool stuff, Grubby. Love to see the support from the community, right?
Yeah, this early in the season, 2,500 over already. And the league really floats on your support, so we really appreciate everyone contributing towards that. Thanks to those that already have, and hopefully we can get a few little bit of extras there for the amazing production here behind the show, as well as, of course, the players that are working hard, strategizing, innovating, practicing, failing, standing, and getting up again, all to try and get the best games towards you.
There's a lot of work that goes into these games from these players, and absolutely, I agree, Grubby. It's really amazing to see the support from this community, so we thank you very, very much, and I'll have to talk to the commissioner about maybe getting one of our friends on stream, maybe around $3,000. We'll have to see. Maybe I can bug them during one of our breaks, but I believe, Justin, we've got some standings that we need to review here, and I want to find out your thoughts on what we're seeing here, maybe the expectation from today.
Yeah, I think
or the weekend, excuse me.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see 30K go up against Oxygen because, with the exception of Wildheart, I'd say that these teams are just kind of in an upper echelon of their own. I think Wildheart, 30K, and Oxygen seemed from last week to be by far the strongest teams there. Oxygen won with a 3-1 over Storm, and 30K 3-0'd Granite. So I'm really excited for our matchup today, and I think it's going to be probably their most important game of the regular season for both of these teams. Or most important match, because they are contesting for first place here against Wildheart. Either one of these teams could contest for first, so we've got about the best matchup we could possibly have for this weekend, so I'm real excited.
Yeah, and speaking of matchups, we can look at today's matchups, and I'm sure some of you at home are saying, wait a minute, boys, why are you calling us 0-3 for Storm Esports versus Wildheart? Well, Storm Esports has chosen to take the forfeit this weekend due to a scheduling issue. So CCL did work with both teams. We tried to find some sort of window opportunity for these teams to play this weekend. Unfortunately, Storm Esports has chosen to take the forfeit, and this will be Wildheart with a 3-0 victory. So we only have one best of 3 today, or best of 5, excuse me. I said I was going to do this during the week. And Justin just said, Grubby, this is going to be pretty defining for 30K and Oxygen, and 30K and Oxygen Esports. As we look at the 30K roster, what are your expectations from this 30K team going into Oxygen Esports?
Well, Bahamut and everyone at home, 30K lost Hyde and X-Ray, but they gained Bad Benny and Nagram. Dino was away on a family vacation last weekend, but should be able to play now, even though they did very well when Nagram surprisingly played on support and Yazoo played on DPS, mostly Overwatch heroes. They really showed a great side of themselves, and they were able to win their first match despite being on awkward roles. Is it going to get better now? You would imagine so, and even better than last weekend. That is exciting indeed.
Absolutely. The excitement is already brewing here for this best of 5 series. And when we look at the Oxygen roster, Justin, I want to pose the same question to you. What do you think about the Oxygen roster going into 30K?
So this is a team that didn't make any changes to their main roster. So this is a team that I'm expecting is going to be really strong coming in from last season, which was kind of showcased previously because last week they 3-1 Storm. It was, it was close, but it wasn't. It was dominant from Oxygen overall. A 3-1 is, you always take that, and to see them go up into 30k, it's sort of a battle of the NA versus EU with the exception of Liam. And both of these teams, I can't overemphasize, this is probably the most important matchup they're going to have this whole season. So we're going to see, especially from the side of Oxygen, I think, a lot of preparation going into this. And I think this is going to be just a great matchup to watch overall.
It is a really, really fun matchup. And before we get into the nitty gritty, we want to thank our sponsor, Next Level Gaming, for joining us for HeroesCCL Season 3. You can use !NXT in chat to find out more information about the amazing Esports Center in Florida. And if you are in Florida, or if you feel like traveling down there, you on Saturday and Sunday can watch HeroesCCL at the Next Level Gaming Esports Center. So make sure you hit !NXT in chat to find out all you can about Next Level Gaming Esports Center. But as I said, we have talked about rosters, we've talked about sponsors, we've talked about prize pool. Grubby, what have we not talked about yet?
The solar eclipse, the next solar eclipse, and of course the map pool here. The map pool, yes, I knew that was coming. We've got a blue ban and a red ban, and we've got a blue pick, and it looks like 30k will be picking as the blue team to go on Towers of Doom.
I actually have a quick note of this. We don't have a lot of stats from the early season here, but as I was looking at them at the start of the stream, we were talking about this. What is the one map that Oxygen lost last week, Grubby?
That would be, and I'm not going to sneak peek here, Oxygen lost on Towers of Doom.
Yes.
That is a foreboding start indeed.
And the other thing to note too, Justin, is that we had 30k winning on Towers of Doom last week. Do you think this is going to be a quick, Towers of Doom game for 30k because they already have Oxygen's number?
I don't expect it will be. I think Oxygen after last week is going to be real mad about their Viking strategy kind of flopping, kind of falling short. They were in control for most of the game, and then that one decisive boss call kind of just sort of threw off their tempo, and they kind of just fell apart after that on the side of Oxygen. So I'm expecting them to maybe go with something a little bit more standard. I think it would be good for sort of their confidence if they're willing to still play the Vikings, but maybe not prioritize it so highly as they did last week. Last week they 1-2'd the Vikings pick. And so I think Oxygen is going to be possibly coming in here with a totally new strategy. But I hope that there's a chance that just the threat of Vikings is enough to get an advantage in this draft as well.
Vikings are really difficult and annoying to deal with. What also is annoying to deal with is a Junkrat, as 30k has banned out their first banned Junkrat in a row here, Grubby. It's he's very annoying to deal with, I guess.
Yeah, it's not fun to play into as a tank, and he's powerful. He's got splash damage, he's got follow-up, he's got a lot of defense for the backline. I find Oxygen's first ban maybe even more interesting. When they went Vikings first pick, they lost to a Zeratul Falstad roaming squad. Falstad is always my number one pick when going into countering Vikings, because Zeratul's too hard to play. If I was Kira, I would play Zera. So that makes you wonder, are they going to be going for Vikings? But the Dahaka pick says, nah, we're going to be playing this in a regular global fashion. We think Falstad is good in general. We think Rage Moshpit is good in general. But Vikings, if it's coming at all, is going to be a later pick.
This is Brightwing will kick things off on the side of 30k and followed up by a Tychus. I like the start for 30k, Justin. It's a lot of good poke from Brightwing and Tychus already.
Yeah, it's really standard. I think that with Stukov being banned out, Brightwing is kind of just the premier support pick, especially with Stukov matching up fairly well into the Brightwing. I think Brightwing and Stukov have seemed so far in the CCL to just kind of be just powerhouses in their own right, just the strongest supports by a pretty big amount. The Deckard being picked up here by Oxygen is something that they showed last week on Towers of Doom. It was obviously with a very different setup with the Vikings composition, so it's a little strange to see them go for that again, but I guess in terms of their priority, it seems that Deckard is their next best choice after the Brightwing and the Stukov, because this is the second time now that they've fallen back to that. And I can't hate a Lunara pick. I think Lunara is first pick worthy, so that's a great pick for them.
Lunara has been really, really prioritized and has had a lot of value in CCL as we get into our second ban phase. And what could we expect in the latter half of this draft, Grubby?
Well, we're going to be seeing, of course, the tanks coming in, and we've got to think of the abomination in the room. Stitches is one of the pretty interesting picks here. He is going to get removed. I think that's a very heads-up removal. There's a lot of single-target pick ability, taking down a single hero on the enemy team by Brightwing, Tychus, Stitches, Hook, Polymorph, Vulnerability post level 16. We're drilling in with the minigun, the true damage, and then, yeah, that's a bit too much. So Stitches is gone. Now we're thinking about maybe Diablo. Pairs up really well with Brightwing, together with Stitches. It's going to be Blaze and Anubarak. Now, there's a lot of CC between all of these heroes so far. Tychus to pin them down. The one thing that's still missing for 30k, and that's why I want to mention it, that Oxygen has to think about that, there's one hyper carry missing. Tychus can kill a single target. Can't kill more than that, usually. So who's going to do spread damage?
We'll have to find out. It's really interesting as well that Vala hasn't been picked up at all by either team in the draft, not picked or banned. Her priority was going up and up last week, to the point where she was being first picked or banned. So to see her go through this whole draft is a little bit strange. 30k could theoretically pick it here. I'm not really expecting them to. And Oxygen going with the Varian is a little weird. I think the main reason that they went with that is that it pairs up well against the Tychus. Varian with his parry is one of the few tanks that actually you can feel okay with picking into Tychus without it just feeling real bad. So I don't mind that, but I think it might be a little bit difficult to actually secure picks into the Blaze and the Brightwing. It might just be a little bit too much saves on the side of 30k.
I'd say the saving grace here for Oxygen is that Varian can survive Tychus, and that Anubarak is not the ideal tank for Brightwing due to his low natural health pool. And then Varian has healing debuff, which can help against Brightwing's phase shift as well.
So it's a fun draft on both of these sides, but I gotta say, Justin, who do you think is going to come out on top of this Towers of Doom map number 1, our best of 5 series, our first best of 5 series of the day?
I think it's really close. I don't think that either team won in draft, which I do like to see. I think that means that it's going to be most likely a really close game between these two teams. If I had to lean in one direction, I'd probably give it to 30k, mainly for the fact that Anubarak into a Deckard composition is a pretty good situation for an Anubarak. There isn't anyone else on the side of Oxygen that can really provide that saving. So I guess it's going to be kind of up to Lunara with her 13 talent to provide that second level of saving with the cleanse that Lunara can pick up at 13. But I think if Lunara's not able to do that, Anubarak is going to have just a great time going into the squishy composition of Oxygen. So I'd say slightly 30k favored, but based on the draft, it could go either way.
I would heavily agree with you. I think the 30k draft, it can just really just power through what Oxygen has put together. But Oxygen is definitely one of those teams that can innovate and adapt on the fly. So this might be the situation. This might be the opportunity where they can showcase that. We're just loading in right now, and it's exciting to get into this first map. And I want to see if Oxygen can redeem themselves here on Towers of Doom. I think it's definitely possible, Grubby.
Yeah, it's an interesting draft. Both have a lot of power here. Deckard was their only map loss. Like, he was also part of Towers of Doom in Oxygen's only map loss. Happened to be the one that they picked there. It's one map. Don't overvalue stats. You've got really good teams on both sides. Almost no cleanse on the side of Oxygen. I think it's really interesting. I would give it to Oxygen with a slightly better draft, but it's really easy to play Mass CC comp that 30k has.
All right, well, we're into it, and Justin, we'll see you after map number 1, Towers of Doom, because we got 30k on the left-hand side, Hazuab's on the Tychus, Liam on the Blaze, Yasu on the Brightwing, Bad Benny playing the Anubarak, and Dino on the Li Ming. Over in the red, seeing Oxygen Esports, we have we have Madara on the Sylvanas, Hebi on the Deckard, Red Robot on the Varian, Nasmus on the Dahaka, and Lunara to be played by Dreaded. And we're into our lanes, and this is an exciting matchup. I lean into 30k here, as Lunara is going to be able to scout out Blaze Liam on this in this bush right now. But we've been sitting here. We talked. We got your thoughts here, Grubby. But how do you think the first tower phase is going to be going? Who do you think could be the one who wins it?
Well, let's see. We've got Dahaka, right? So if all things are normal, Dahaka would be going for his altar, and Blaze would be going for his, and then Dahaka can join. And maximum distance that this triple altar has is in favor of Oxygen. So I'd say the average result, if nothing creative is done, is that Oxygen gets 2 of the 3 altars, as they will have a brief period of a 5v4. However, creativity is possible. Skill expression is there, and what, of course, can happen is that Dino and Li Ming is going to do a lot of interrupting and buying time for Blaze to get there also. You only need to bridge about 10-15 seconds, and then it's a 5-on-5. So, Oxygen, small chance, slightly bigger chance to get the 2 out of 3. Anything can happen.
Well, we start out with an easy camp grab on either side. No invade to be had by either team, which is exciting. And I do apologize for a little bit of a shaky internet on my end. Sometimes the Bears like to poke at the wires. So hopefully they get out of the forest, or at least off of the pole, and hopefully it gets a little level out on my end. So I do apologize about that. But Bad Benny is not going to apologize about setting up that kill into Lunara. First blood will go over to the side of 30k.
Very nice first blood kill on Lunara there. Li Ming, the kind of ranged assassin that can follow up a little bit better on dives because of that aggressive teleportation. Gets a little bit scarier when Varian is there with Taunt to protect as well. This was the perfect kind of chaotic battle, and you would definitely expect mid-rotations to go in favor of course, 30k. They've got more CC on their side. Varian isn't level up yet, so that makes total sense. I'd say it played out as it should.
This is a little bit of scrolling stealing to zone back the enemy team, but no big issues. And I'm just keeping my eyes around the mini-map to see what the setup is. Dahaka going for that double soak rotation. Didn't go into the enhanced agility at level 1, so no speed boost from him. So he'll only move at, I believe it's 120% movement speed for 2 seconds after tapping a bush. It seems like Liam, sidesteps the drag from Dahaka and does a fantastic job of that.
Very important. He could have been dead otherwise. Let's look at that first blood again. Hold that thought. Okay, looks like there's a disengage here. We can look at that first blood one more time.
Really good jet propulsion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the propulsion on Dahaka with actually a giant collision size hitting Lunara as well. Sometimes it's funny, you're against certain heroes, your tank can actually mess you up. Like when Kel'Thuzad tethers a chain to a tank, even though you thought you're in a safe position as a ranged assassin, you can get yoinked in. And Blaze has that effect a little bit as well. You might have been out of range of jet propulsion, but its colliding area is bigger.
The collision with that spread AoE is really what set up that kill. Wonderful play from the side of 30k as this objective phase. First one is going to be top, left, and right traded out. 4 shots from either team. But bottom lane still being contested. Nasmus comes in for the Burrow, but he's going to get blown up right now. Burrow charge in from a Nubrak, and that does find a kill. But Brightwing will be traded out. A 1-for-1, but Bad Benny getting low does have to back away and tap well. Objective phase looking good for Oxygen Esports.
Very good. It's 36-36 still. Blaze isn't here. Exactly that situation that we expected, though Dahaka did die. They now get a return kill. It's 2 for 2. Varian, where's his taunt? 5 seconds away. Li Ming actually using the Brightwing teleport to be very, very aggressive indeed and setting up for another interrupt. And here's the thing. Deckard really goes out of mana quickly. When you go with Sapphire and Potion of Shielding, you're not getting Rejuvenation Potion at level 4 that can help with mana sustain. And you're not getting that level 1 spell power that can reduce the need for healing potions to come out. And Deckard, that's just the way of things. He's very low mana in the early game, at least until like level 12, level 13, when globes start healing a bigger chunk of your mana pool. Let's say a bigger absolute amount because it's percentage based. And I think that played parts here. So 30k does the upset. They get the 2 out of the 3 channels. Very, very good job by them.
This was a really good play from 30k as I was expecting this to go right over to Oxygen. Big Burrow, Polymorph, Red Robot able to parry and back away. That laugh that you're hearing in the background is the boss or the Headless Horseman up and available at 5 minutes into the game. 4 shots could be achieved, whichever team is able to cap that. But that Grubby is typically a endgame tool or a denial of endgame tool more than just grabbing it to, well, get free damage into the enemy core.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes I wonder if it's underplayed a little bit, but I imagine the pros have experimented with that, even in custom games. They have theorized on it. And let's just play devil's advocate and say that 30k,
Sure.
instead of pushing down these towers here, the walls, which they absolutely can because of the level lead, they suddenly turn tail, they go upstairs, they start taking the boss. What do you think a Sylvanas team is going to do in the bottom of the map? Are they just going to come to boss and have a big 5-on-5? Or are they going to push down 30k's wall, maybe even the fountain, maybe even a bit of the fort? And then what? You've got 4 HP. And then what? That doesn't do anything, right? Like, oh, they're at 28 health. You've now fallen behind in experience. You have no fallback point to the fountain. And that's generally the decision that teams are making. So you would need a significant numerical advantage and already own the enemy's bottom fort to feel good about going top to get the boss. And that's usually like level 16 plus minimum.
Varian dives in. Mind Control max range will connect onto Brightwing. Yasuo trying to back away. Nasmus with that Lurker String bopping this Brightwing around as there is a drag to connect. Brightwing to get the Blink heal away as Bad Benny came in to peel for the friendly healer that was out of position due to said drag. And this looks like 30k with the Commandeer Odin Grubby should be able to zone back Oxygen, or at least that's the attempt right now.
Varian coming in. Actually, a little bit of an overlap by Heavy and Red Robot to try and get the interrupt. In the meantime, Draded and Liam are still skirmishing. Liam on Blaze has that spell power. Oh, he dives deep. Varian dives deep on Dino, but Dino feels safe. And there's a big stay around. Listen on 4 members.
Wow.
Drag Tongue, anyone you like. Mind Control. We have so much piling on to Dino, but there was actually a little bit of an overlap. There was a taunt. No, there was no taunt yet. Taunt is still available, but there was Mind Control and Drag on Dino at the same time. Yazu, I believe, with the cleanse. And Dino, wonder above wonder, still survives that. But there is another channel by 30k.
I have to say, the read from Hazuobs right there. Because Decker Kane, if you play enough against Decker Kane, you start to see him, start the stay while and listen animation. It's much like the ETC, that. So with the read that Hazuobs had, he threw the grenade, so there was like a split second of stay while and listen value, and then everyone woke up and was able to back away. Really, really good save from Hazuobs, mechanical prowess being shown on his Tychus.
So to note though, by the way, if Deckard speaks even one word, everyone sleeps max duration. Interrupting him then only stops future people from going into the cone of boredom by Deckard. So
what you're saying, his story is so boring, one word puts you to sleep?
One word puts you to sleep, and that's pretty much how Deckard works. So if you actually want to interrupt it, you have to put him on a 10 seconds cooldown. Once it starts, there's no point interrupting it if no one else was going to be walking anymore. So Hazu was actually too late, but it was a really nice try. This time Hazu took damage from Lunara. Heavy actually taking a lot of damage. Hazu ups in hot pursuit. Red Robot running away as well. Things are falling apart for Oxygen. Can Madara do something when he comes out? He's just going to Haunting Wave away. Red Robot survives another ball of death there from Li Ming, and that's another alter channel by 30k. They're controlling this game.
This is just, the macro control. Nasmus is going to get caught out of position. A third kill over to the side of 30k, bolstering their experience to 13. The members of Oxygen not far behind as well, but another objective phase should be announced soon. And with this kill into Dahaka, I'm expecting hard siege into bottom lane to take down this fort.
That's what they want to do, and I'm going to take a quick sneak peek at Brush Stalker cooldown.
Sure.
12 seconds, so 6 seconds after he survives, after he comes back. Odin, once again, as a sieging tool, kind of a sergeant hammer on demand, able to outrange that fort so long as you kite in and out of the range with the auto attack. Wait, do you even need to kite?
With Commandeer Odin?
Yeah.
Commandeer Odin has it just expired. I tried to check the range, but it expired. You know what? I'll leave the stats up for myself. Next time I see it, I'll take a note of it. But
those spells either way are going to kite the fort easily.
Oh, absolutely. You can really poke from range, but this is another dive onto Nasmus. It's almost like 30k just has the number of Nasmus. It's anytime Nasmus is, I want to split soak, well, you're not going to be able to do so. Mind Control, there was a cocoon onto Red Robot. Seems like there's a re-engage onto Red Robot, but he is able to parry and sidestep the Arcane Orb of Li Ming. Hazuobs with a little bit of damage, but this is to slow and zone back Varian to be able to rotate into bottom lane, and this is Li Ming, Dino with the channel, 4 more shots into the enemy core. 30k controlling and running this Towers of Doom map number 1.
Yeah, they're letting us know who is in charge here. We've got Dino on Ranged Assassin, Yasuo on Brightwing. Kind of missing Nagrom on Brightwing. I love those little aggressive monkeying about with his I'm standing in the middle of enemies, try and get me, can't get me, blink, heal away. It was cool. I'm missing his Brightwing, but Yasuo, of course, main support role.
I have not seen that before where someone takes down the mid lane well. Mid lane tower is considered not the most important or impactful, but still you're removing lane sustainability or even objective sustainability, with the next objective being in the upper portion of the map. So a little bit of a read from Dino and 30k that I just want to point out. Nice play and just good setup getting into the future objective phases, because we do have a Sapper camp coming in through bottom, Lunara rotating down, there's a minion wave stalling things out. Can she actually get that clear in time before the sappers go over? It looks like yes, that's the case.
It's only one more sapper that he came down for, and a bit of XP nonetheless did go there. And now we have a fight here going on.
Nice.
Nubarak, nice catch. Bad Penny there scouting that bush. He gets taken down something fierce by a very creative gank there by Oxygen.
We talk about really quickly this level 1 on Nubarak. We're 11 minutes and 30 or so seconds in, and there's 27 stacks on this 30 stack level 1 regeneration master. I feel like that's not an easy feat to do.
No, it is not, and usually it is much easier when you are winning, so that you're able to rotate with impunity. So I think that has helped him a lot. Another taunt gank here on Dino. He gets the minus 100%. Wait, minus 100% heal? It said minus 100. It stacks. Mortal Strike plus Emerald, 40 plus 75, 100%.
Huh!
I had no idea it stacks.
Yeah, today I learned as well, Grubby. I wasn't actually expecting that, because I was like, yeah, 75. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, I see the 100 as well, but seems like we have a trade on the objective phase, but an aggressive engage onto Red Robot now, who is going to drop down to like 20%, 10% HP. Bunker comes down to zone back the enemy team, and if you are wondering, Grubby, the range on Odin, it's 9.
9 range, and forts are less than that.
Forts and keeps are 8, as well as the core, and then towers, your front gate, are 7.
Yeah, so Odin can just point and click forts.
Pretty
it's
much.
such a great sieging tool. I just thought of a name for Varian and Deckard's anti-healing stack. Ana Arithmetic.
I love it, actually. I love it, Grubby. I love it. That's a good one. That is a very good one. That needs to... But seriously, though, like, just, circling back to that for a second, while we potentially have an invade onto this camp, I think that's just such a cool combo that I don't think I've ever seen when looking at just debuff overlapping potential from heroes.
Yeah, because normally, like, something like armor debuff doesn't stack it. Armor buffing also doesn't stack anymore, so this is a surprising one. Big magic missiles hitting everything from the mirror ball. Dino on the flank there, of course, perfect CC by the front line there. And this is a 5 versus 4 slaughter there, destroying Varian with perfect synchronicity. 30k, another kill right when it matters. 28 versus 16, overkill on Madara. He drops real low. Hasselhoff's there with that overkill build, but he didn't have the level 16 overkill, and that would have actually killed him this time. Of course, Titan Grenade, perfectly fine to finish someone off with some burst. All very good level 16s.
Li Ming is showing on minimap that she's on the top right of the screen, so this is a known 4v4, Varian dead for the next 10 seconds, as we have this mid-area objective being contested by both sides. Li Ming gets the right-hand side now. This is going to be 3 to 5 in potential core shots, as 30k has lost their top left fort, or excuse me, keep, but I don't think they're really too upset about, well, it's gonna be 6, wow, that Varian right out the gate, but it'll be basically 6 to 5 in damage, but I guess 30k still comes out on top. It's just a little surprised they didn't try and play that more aggressive through the bottom or something like that into the team fight after getting the Varian kill.
Yeah, that's true, but at the end of the day, 6, a little bit more than 5, and they want to get top fort back, and they want to provide a defense. We saw a big Deckard's Ancient Blessings there, 8 seconds. You see that glow, guys, under the heroes? They have 8 seconds of splash damage and vampiric lifesteal, and bonus damage, to be fair, with their basic attacks. And Deckard can do that every 45 seconds. Fortitude of the faithful, giving ancient blessings. So that's really nice to get bonus damage there. We're still on a team fight immediately afterwards. And the levels are still going very nicely for Oxygen. They can get level 20. This is still the map of comebacks.
Curious, I want to look at the breakdown in the experience, where this advantage about 3,000 experience, and it's going to be from just minions, but hold on, let's talk about the fight that's in bottom lane. As the taunt comes out onto the Blaze, we have Hazuab's getting very low. He steps forward, doesn't manage to get the healing necessary from Brightwing or a bunker from Blaze, and Sylvanas to be traded, though. There's a dive onto Varian. He will fall, drag from Nasmus not connecting, but the burrow charge from Bad Benny does go out onto this Dahaka. Mirror Ball, Li Ming chasing in, trying to find that big burst damage. Here's to stay a while and listen. Gonna put the tanks to sleep, and Li Ming interrupts it with the Wave of Force. That was a really cool blink and combo thrown back into the minion wave as she was running, or as Dinah was running, just to note. But either way, the big thing, if you're wondering where that experience deficit was for a few seconds, it was minions. Now it was equalized massively by these heroic kills. Anubarak, no, bud, why were you over there?
Can we talk about what just happened there? Full HP Anubarak with his finished Regeneration Master. Of course, didn't get to press Carapace. And I gotta be a little critical here. That's not the first time it happened to Bad Benny this game. And I really think, if anything, at least you want to hit Carapace. If you're not going to just send a skill shot into the bush or a beetle, at least hit Carapace. You've got the 40 spell armor, you've got the movement speed, can try to get away, get a dodge or whatever. But that was very well executed nonetheless by Oxygen. Drag Tongue into lots of damage from Lunara, into, of course, Bonk, Roderick's staff from Deckard with an Ancient Blessings. And I'm actually surprised that's enough. You know, any Storm League trio of Deckard, what's his name? Deckard, Dahaka, and Lunara. I don't think they just get a kill there in 1.5 seconds on Anubarak. That shows that they press all their buttons right.
It's definitely something that it's showcased in practice, being able to just flip the switch and be able to find the big burst as a team like that. But here comes the boss. Mind Control attempted, a lot of damage into Madara as the potions come out. Madara locks down these towers with Sylvanas, and there's another dive onto Nasmus. Does have the tunneling claws for the movement speed, throws the isolation out, and he's not going to be able to connect onto anyone with that. But it's a double altar phase coming up, Grubby, and if bottom lane bell tower is converted for 30k and they get this double channel, it's GG in favor for 30k for map 1. You think that's possible?
Yeah, they can try to. They can definitely try to bring this to a match point, but we are in a situation where they have just a small advantage. They just know isolation is down for the Haka. If they're counting it in properly, then, well, they know it's about 20 plus seconds away. They can try to do a big red button siege here, but it'll be a 5-on-5. I think it's risky. They're still a little bit ahead, and they may not need to take that risk just for a potential match point, but we'll see how they play it. Hey, Ba, do you want to jump into comms at all to listen to 30k?
Let's get into 30k comms right now.
Control. We don't want to take fort. Just play objective. I've fed Odin.
Yo.
I'm gonna pre-tap. Coming back right away. I'm on the way now. I have pre-tap running.
Yeah.
Whisper's dead.
He dug.
Topside.
I'm oiling that.
I wanna play bot side rather.
Okay.
Yeah, Odin early.
I can stall mid forever, basically.
Yeah.
I'm picking bot side.
I will Odin now.
I might get taunted for this.
No, you're good. Just stop.
They're
All the
carried
DPS
on
on
bot
bot
side.
side.
They're going on me. I'm good.
That's done here. They might
Varian.
They missed my control. I can go here?
I'm stalling the cap.
it's fine.
Cocoon the cap.
No, we can't commit.
Yeah. Play around Dykes, it's fine still.
I'm stalling the cap
running out
for mid.
My thing is running out now.
Can we get the cap?
We need
Try.
to fight them.
We're going
I'm stalling the Akka.
We're going the Akka with Takers?
Maybe.
Running here.
Yeah.
No.
We run here.
He's one. Okay, no, he's out. He used essence.
Yeah, we see
No
both.
essence now.
Varian here.
I oil that.
I Q on him.
I hit him.
Damage.
Good damage.
They use cleanse. Can we go? Yeah.
I'm looking.
No, go here.
I stun him now. I bunker after. Burn him. Get him bunker if you can.
I'm alive.
Deckard is still ult.
I might help here.
Yeah.
I'm stun here. I can't. Yeah, interrupted.
I can't.
Run back.
Herbal have to
Deckard
give.
still is ult.
Maybe you can. Might have to give.
Yeah.
Yeah, Q on it. A big stun here. Big stun here.
He got
After
the
Dark
Darker.
and something going.
Huge. Reset.
Yeah, Darker here. No lick, no lick. 4 seconds.
Heavy as well.
As we get out of these comms, Grubby, I gotta hear what's the takeaway for you, because it was hard for me to even want to leave there.
Yeah, I know how you feel about those. I feel the same way, and I think chat does too. A very nicely timed comms. We heard exactly their plan, whether they want the fort or not. Even as the fight goes on, we've got the burrow charge on Dahaka. Brightwing is being pressured a little bit in the back. Stay while listen is pretty good. Odin did have the unstoppable, and it's Dahaka that goes down. Hasuab scooting forward with his Odin, getting the big shots in. Dino trying to run away. There is still a healer for her, though. He's going to get some healing. 139. Yazoo keeps him alive. Magic missiles. Varian actually gets the kill. And Draded will be running away here after a massacre, an absolute bloodbath of a battle. And with that, with the dust clearing here from this slaughter, with victims on both sides, but far more bodies counted on Oxygen's side, we look back at that running up to it, and at first, it went really well for Oxygen. They rebuffed the Anubarak charge. Bad Benny actually, surprisingly, shockingly, stayed alive throughout all that, through a combination of peels, counter damages, and heals. And then they got that one kill on Blaze. There was nothing left for Blaze. He used everything. The bunker, drawing away attention from Bad Benny, and it looked good. But then, the big outplay by Dino, putting himself in a vulnerable position, or so it seems, drawing the charge from Varian, which, by the way, is uninterruptible by Varian himself, allowed him to pull Varian in. And he's like, look! And there came the vulnerability from Brightwing. Corridor Rise, Polymorph, shots came in on Varian, and that's where it turned. Madara ended up taking a lot of damage on Sylvanas. Tychus did go down, but 30k got massive result from that. Just pulling him into the fort, getting that debuff from the fort as well. A really well-played fight by both sides, really. And still a small 4-point lead for 30k.
One sapper did go over as the bottom lane keep is going to be just absolutely shredded. That laugh in the distance means boss is back up. Not a win condition for either team, but a boss plus this altar, well, we could be seeing 30k close things out. Banner of Dalaran to be utilized as a ward or a bit of a vision tool, and wow, Oxygen, they want to step in through this bottom lane. Poke from Lunar will start things out. Still not enough, even if they convert this bottom lane bell tower. But now here comes the banner once again from the Varian with a dive onto Dino. He's taking so much damage. Isolation does connect onto Dino, who has to blink away. Big red button from the Commandeer Odin. Hazuab stepping forward. Liam with some oil to slow down the enemy team, pushing out the waves as a single altar is up. 4 shots available on either side. But who, Grubby, is able to get the channel?
Well, Yasuo needs his phase shift back. He has 18 seconds cooldown on his Z, and it was key to keep Dino alive. Also, some very great cleanses by Yasuo to save Dino there over and over when he gets charged. Let's see, phase shift, 5 seconds, 4 seconds. That's going to be key. Odin is running out, though.
Mind Control with the Call of the Dark Lady will go out, but it has a very short cooldown of, I believe, 15 seconds. Here comes the dive in from Varian. He tries to apply the Mortal Strike as well as the Emerald from the Deckard Cain to reduce some of the healing. He does have the Deckard Cain, the Respect the Elderly, so you might see that silence and blind on some enemies when they come out of the Stay a While and Listen, unless there's any sort of interrupt from a Wave of Force or Grenade of Tychus, because you did see when we were in comms, as you had mentioned earlier, there's that Wave of Force of Dino that actually put Deckard Cain on a 10-second cooldown, the more effective value right there. As another Mind Control comes out, but the fishing will not find a 30k member.
Sapper's taken for Oxygen, 30k does likewise. It's a little defensive cubbyhole, which is why you could even do something so ridiculous like taking a Mercamp, even under the heavy duress of a 5-on-5 contest over the altar. As both teams are looking for the other to make a mistake. Hard to force things, hard to take things into your own hand and take control of it. More, you're waiting for glad tidings, for a good omen, someone out of position. And the grenade missed.
The Haka is mid showing. There is a tower in top lane going down, so this is going to be another Commandeer Odin, which that seems to be the forced tool to make sure that Oxygen backs away. Dahaka brushes in right behind Yasu, but Yasu still gets the channel. Now Dahaka is out of position and absolutely gets crushed and punished by that. A boss is up and available. It's 4v5, and 30k make the same realization. They're rushing. They're going. Oh, are they feigning for boss?
Li Ming clears some minions, which is a little suspicious.
They are. They're
It's gonna
feigning
work
for the
out.
minions. For the boss. Mind control will connect onto Blaze. No, Bunker is available. Will be utilized immediately. Heavy split from the friendly team, trying to bonk his way through this fight, but he can't do so. A reset goes over to Dino. Wave of Force almost pushing Red Robot into the Arcane Orb, and there was a nice grenade from Tychus to follow up. But Draded Madara, they want to step in. Mind control barely catches, or doesn't even catch the toe of this Anubarak. And the Mandible is going to be able to just keep slapping his way on his boss. But Sylvanas is going to go in and try and make the big YouTube play. It's not going to work out. Game number 1, won by the side of 30K here in a fairly controlled fashion, Grubby. I very much like how the members of 30K were able to just keep control, keep a calm and collective head, even in some of those really delayed out fights.
Exactly, and you know it was a pretty close game, despite 15 and 17 kills, despite everything. 10 shots. Oxygen doesn't need to win most of the fights. They just need to get in 10 more shots, and just a series of great plays from 30K saw them take the little lead here and take the first victory over Oxygen, who is now 0-2 with Deckard, 0-2 on Towers of Doom, but still has that best of 5 victory from last weekend. Nothing to be too rattled by.
Justin,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on map number 1, Towers of Doom? Are you rattled? I'm rattled, personally.
I'm rattled as well. So this game, it went about how you'd sort of expect, with the early game from Varian being a lot weaker than the side of 30K. They don't necessarily have the same kind of kill pressure, and they also need 4 members to actually get kills in the early game. So had Oxygen played the early game a little bit more clean, they might have been able to win that game. They sort of fell a little bit more behind than they really should have. They were trying to fight a little bit too much, and they were playing with like a 1-1-3, which it turned out that they really needed 4 people to get kills. They couldn't get kills with a 3-man, they needed 4. So they looked a little bit shaky in the early game, but Oxygen did have a better level 20, and they did seem like they kind of brought it back, and it was getting really, really close at the end. Every fight came down to just the smallest margins, and it seemed like just, any little tiny, small little advantage that a team would get in the fight would just completely sway the fight, and the teams were mostly just trading 1 for 1 or 1 for 2. But something to point out with that is that if both teams are going to just try to play for a one-shot on the front line, which is basically what both the comps are looking to do, the Li Ming really excels here. Like, here in this replay, this is just incredible coordination from 30K. They can even one-shot the Varian. But on the side of Oxygen, it's a lot harder for them to one-shot the Anubarak with their chain CC. So I'd say 30K's comp was a little bit easier to play, but Dino in particular really popped off, and the Li Ming pick was really strong in this type of setup.
I want to get your. I want to ask you a question here, Justin, because I was thinking about this during the game and I was noticing it a lot. Was Oxygen basically waiting for Odin to consistently expire? Because anytime Odin came down, it seemed like Oxygen started to back away. Is it just not wanting to fight under the Odin, or can you elaborate on that? Because I'm curious.
Well, I mean, typically when they use Odin, it's in your best interest to leave if you can. If you can trade the Odin for nothing, because obviously he plants his feet in the ground and he kind of turns into a tree there for a second before he can actually start moving around in the Odin.
True.
So you see that, and if possible, if you're not going to lose anything for it, you want to just disengage. That's your number 1 priority, is to make sure that they don't actually get any value. It's just a wasted ultimate at that point. But HoSwab's really, really strong on this Tychus. You've noticed that 30K's prioritized Tychus quite a bit, and HoSwab has been really, really strong on it. I believe he did 120,000 damage that last game. He was the highest damage in the game. Pretty much he uses the Odin so well, he just uses it on cooldown for the most part. Just poking out the enemies, and pretty much every time it's up, he's either sieging with it or he's poking in team fights with it. So HoSwab's on the Tychus, especially with that Odin, is real scary. And so Oxygen sort of just has to respect that, and they want to disengage pretty much every time they see that Odin come out, if they can.
I really loved the draft of 30K. I think Oxygen had a really, really unique draft as well, Grubby, with the healing reduction synergy of Deckard and Varian, and the Lunara burst ability as well as Sylvanas. I think it was all there. Is it just a difference of, the team fight, or is it a draft difference in a sense of what 30K had versus Oxygen?
So I think the difficulty level with 1 being super easy and 10 being like really, really difficult of 30K's composition, I would say was like a 2 or a 3. Loads of CC, easy burst, 1 AA, 1 mage. Everyone has a dash, so it's kind of easy. But they also played it really well. Like Dino got magic missile connections that many others wouldn't have. Some repulsions were super relevant as well. And then you look at the side of Oxygen, and I don't think it was a 10. I don't think it was an 8, but it wasn't a 3 either. Maybe a 4 or a 5. A little bit harder, and just a little bit more chance for mess-ups and slip-ups. But even there, I still think they performed really well and would have won against a 30k that would play like 7% worse. I don't like pointing the finger at anyone in particular, but it seems like Nazma's had problems here staying alive sometimes. It's not easy. Dahaka is a very survivable hero, but they targeted him. They targeted him. 30k went for him in lane. They went for him for some rotations. And in many games, you're going to go completely uncontested as a Dahaka. As 2 or 3 people ganking you is often not even enough. But they went for him with 4 or 5. And then that final moment there in that final fight where he YOLO'd in 1v5, that isn't just him though. That's and it could be just him. I don't know. I didn't hear comms, but it could be a team thing where the team just wasn't ready for it. Maybe they couldn't have been ready. Maybe he didn't ask. Maybe he just pressed C. And he did have the most deaths on the team. I'd say if Dahaka was like a little bit less killed, which of course it's a group effort by all 10 players, that could have changed everything.
It is you make a good point, and our job is a little bit to just to point out these things when we do notice them consistently in the game. And there was, at least I could count off the top of my head, 3 almost consecutive dives into the solo laner in the rotation. So just good read from 30k, good map control, good macro and micro overall on Towers of Doom. We're ready to find out where we're going to head to for map number 2, and I'm excited to see what we're going to get here, as it is going to be the 30k map choice of Battlefield of Eternity, meaning the losing side of Oxygen has opted for the first pick priority. What do you think of this map for map 2, Justin?
So this is a map that rarely goes to level 20. It sometimes does, but if teams play it really cleanly and one team has early game advantages, you can really snowball this map pretty hard. It's also a map that has a lot of team fighting, and Oxygen had spoken on it in the interview that they do prefer globals on this map quite a bit last week, which was something that I found a little bit strange. I think it's typically pretty difficult to get good value on Battlefield of Eternity with globals. And in the end last week, it kind of just came down to Draded with the Gust, which had less to do with the global and more to do with just the Draded just owning. So I think if 30k plays a similar composition, if they play as well as they did in the last game, I think this probably is better for 30k. Especially, I'd like to see Oxygen maybe not go for that type of global style. I'd like to see Draded on the Falstad again if possible, because obviously that was insane last week. But I'd hope that they go for more of a team fight oriented composition, because this is a map where you can really just assert dominance in the early game and carry it through.
Yeah, this was the map last week where the side of Oxygen opted for 3 globals in Brightwing, Falstad, and Dahaka. And they also had that Hanzo Mei, and then over on the side of 30k from last week, they were looking at the Dahaka, Diablo, Greymane, Lunara, and Stukov. So a little bit of overlap between both these teams. I'm sure they're not going to be looking at last week's draft and saying, well, we succeeded, let's go ahead and just run the same thing. But as we get into the draft, I want to get your thoughts, Grubby.
Yeah, ideally you've got multiple builds indeed for a map, so I don't think there's anything wrong with taking Falstad for Draded though. But they banned the Brightwing. They banned the Falstad last game, they banned the Brightwing now, so definitely going with a different plan. I always think in competitions you need 9 out of 10 parts, solid foundation, and you need 2 tricks. That math doesn't really work out, but you need about 2 tricks to throw someone off. 2 just surprises, whatever they are. Something that makes your opponent go thinking, basically, which pushes them off of autopilot. Like, what does this mean?
Oh, this is 2 target bans, actually. Yasu target ban and a Bad Benny target ban as we were kicking things off. I really, really like that. And there is another Junkrat ban from the side of 30k, Justin.
Yeah, 30k does not seem to want to play against that Junkrat ever, which is a little peculiar with them having Liam, who's so good on Urel. Urel has the level 4 talent where she can cleanse those roots, but even with that, they still don't want to play against it. So Vala is something that was really prioritized previously on this map. Lunara as well. They go with the Lunara instead. I would hope to see 30k go for a Vala at some point in this draft if it's available. This is one of her better maps, and last week she was first pick banned pretty much every single game. So a little bit weird to not see her so far. And I do really like that 30k banned the Stukov after Oxygen banned Brightwing. It's really feeling more and more like Stukov and Brightwing are just in a tier on their own for the supports.
You think Anduin is that far behind?
Probably, yeah. Stukov and Brightwing, I don't think have any real clear weaknesses. They both have about as much sustain as possible, and they both have tools to stop one-shots on their own, while also just having that sustain. Also, the point-and-click CC. I mean, Stukov's isn't point-and-click, but the puddle is a really, really strong tool. It's very... Both of them really stop the front line from kind of playing the game with the Poly and the Stukov puddle, so I think they're a little bit ahead. Just the hard CC is too much. But there's the Anduin that you mentioned, so that seems to be what Oxygen prioritizes as their third pick.
I guess what Anduin is really missing is those constant AoE healing pulses as well, besides the CC you mentioned, which Stukov, he's always got a heal for everybody. Lily, for one person. Brightwing, for everybody. Lucio, for everybody, when he was like super OP as well. Now Lucio is what, maybe 4th or 5th best support?
Yeah, I would agree with you on that, absolutely. There's a lot of really good utility, but it's just like, but I could grab Brightwing or Stukov, so yeah. It's one of those. We're on the topic of healers while we get through this ban phase. I've actually been having a lot of success in my 5 stacks for Storm League, where we have our healer main play a lot of Rhaegar, so I'd like to see more Rhaegar. Maybe he's not in the best spot, but I think he's got a little bit of a niche possibility. Maybe Justin, maybe.
Maybe. I wish that they'd make his ultimate. You can tell me I'm wrong.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't think...
when the guy that picks Maiev main tank says maybe, that's when you're really in trouble.
Yeah, that's why I looked over at his face and I'm like, I might be wrong on this one.
Yeah, I think you got to get wave clear somewhere else. That's kind of Rhaegar's main thing. I think if you could enable something like a Sonya or a Malthael with him, then he has a place, but that's pretty rare in the meta right now with the offlaners being so strong. Li Ming is something that's still up in this draft, and not going... I do like Tyrande. I think Tyrande's extremely underrated. I really enjoy that they picked Tyrande. Vala still being up would be something that I would like to see from Oxygen. They have Blaze, Anduin, and the Cleanse on Lunara at 13, so their comp right now already has a ton of protection for a Vala hypercarry or any squishy hypercarry that they can enable with what they've picked so far. That being said, I really do like the Tyrande variant, though.
Grubby, did you have a... I thought you were about to break it down.
I thought if it's Vala, maybe they put Mei in front to try and have a self-cleanse. But they're going to use Garrosh. Red Robot's Garrosh is fantastic. Yeah. Also exciting to see Yasu coming in with his heroes that are fun to play. We remember his winner's interview last weekend where he didn't want to be in Stukov jail. And he wants to play some fun heroes, like some other fun healers. Where we go with the Tyrande.
Well, I mean, I always bring this up because it's just such a memorable memory as we get a Dino Genji. Last season, before we had the buff onto Tyrande with the reset on Sentinel, Yasu actually did have had a phenomenal game where he actually got a snipe on a disengaging enemy team. So I'm leaning into 30K, but before we throw Justin into the stands to watch the game, I want to get your thoughts, your breakdown, and maybe who wins Map 2 Battlefield.
I think Oxygen has a slightly better comp for the map. Both teams have a good poke hero with Li Ming and Hanzo on both sides. I do think that the amount of protection that Oxygen has is really good, especially into the type of draft that 30K went with. They've gone with a really aggressive one-shot style composition. With that being said, Anduin has pull. He has a lot of tools to save, and then they also have the Blaze Bunker. So I definitely prefer Oxygen's comp, but I don't think that 30K doesn't have the tools to potentially win the game. They have a really, really scary blow-up between Varian, Tyrande, and Genji. Hanzo's not exactly the best follow-up for that, though, so I think I'm going to give it to Oxygen in the draft, but 30K might just be playing better on the day, so have to find out.
I do like the Shimada Bros together, and you also have follow-up to Varian's taunt with the Tyrande, and then Dahaka Brushstock and actually Tongue Drag can be really devastating in just the chain CC that we could be seeing from 30K. But I agree, though, on the side of Oxygen, they've got a lot of tools to execute and find multiple kills and burst ability through this Garrosh and Blaze. So everything is looking exciting as we get into Battlefield of Eternity map number 2. Justin, thank you for your analysis, your breakdown. We'll see you after this second map as we have loaded on in and we're ready to go to start talking about who is on what side of this awesome Battlefield of Eternity Diablo-based map. On the left-hand side, we are going to be looking at 30K. We've got Yasu on the Tyrande, Hazuabs on the Hanzo, Bad Benny on the Varian, Dino on the Genji, and Liam on the Dahaka. Over in the Oxygen Esports side of things, we've got Nasmus on the Blaze, Mater on the Li Ming, Red Robot on the Garrosh, Heavy on the Anduin, and Draded to play Lunara. Gotta get your thoughts as well, Grubby, as I've already called for a 30k win.
So I'm thinking about Garrosh late game. Overall, I like Oxygen's draft a little bit more, but I'm thinking about his late game and how is he going to step up and be aggressive. Are there any speed boosters on his team where he can get past the variant? Can he ever get to Hanzo, for instance? Is he going to get gapped and damaged by Hanzo before he can get near? These are some of the concerns I'm thinking about. And then the fact that Tyrande has armor debuff on him is also quite nice, as Garrosh actually doesn't have a very big health pool. He's got 2100 health right now compared to Variant's 2300. And Variant still gets his taunt, plus 50%. So a lot of that is about the armor. We can get Giant Slayer from Hanzo if he doesn't go for the piercing. And I think Giant Slayer is better when you're really good on Hanzo. And then there's that Hunter's Mark. So I think Red Robot may struggle to get his mark. Luckily for Oxygen, this is a map where you can play the objective, where you can play defensive if you have the better race. So let's evaluate that. Who has the better race, you think, Bahamut?
Well, I look over on the side of 30k, and you've got your standard Hanzo, as you mentioned, the Tyrande with the mark as well. Genji, he can kinda like, I wouldn't put him at like a great, hero to race, but he does have shurikens, which you can then rotate in like an auto a shuriken and still get a little bit of damage.
True.
On the opposing side, Li Ming with Magic Missile build and Lunara with what I'm assuming is Nature's Calling. I give this race over to side of 30k, or excuse me, over to Oxygen. But as my friend used to say to me, Grubby, if you just kill the enemy team, there's no one to race against.
The good old Starship Troopers just injure their hand and they can't press the nuke button. Very, very true. So we have that 2-player attack in the top lane by Oxygen, and Bad Bunny has said, well, Varian isn't that good early game anyway, so I'll go ahead and help my buddy Dahaka here. Dino comes in, misses the Swift Strike on Blaze. Maybe he was aiming for the minion wave all along. We have a push at the same time by Oxygen in the bottom lane, which Li Ming is, of course, always excellent at. It's not quite like Release Li Ming, where Magic Missiles did full damage on towers. That was fun. Did you abuse that a lot? I abused it a lot.
I was usually the person who was screaming about how it's so unfair. So I was on the receiving end of that Li Ming when it happened.
So you hate me.
It's like times.
Meeting your childhood bully.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're gonna have words at the end of the broadcast, but we'll be nice to each other for the sake of looking like we're friends on CCL, absolutely. But Immortal Face will be spawning first. North-south position, pretty standard to dive on to Genji. Actually, he's kind of fine right now. Deflects some damage and some healing from Yasuo. Mitigates the vast majority of the burst that we just saw.
Looks like there's someone in Twitch chat as well. Makes me crazy when Li Ming destroys towers. You just found your spirit animal, your kindred spirit.
There we go. We'll start a support group for each other. Just Li Mings that have left a mark on us. But this is really good zoning from 30k right now, Grubby.
Yeah. What are they doing in the meantime with that? They have the Haka kind of hiding in bushes, looking to maybe get a drag on Draded. Do we have Dino going top to deal with the Lunara? Yeah, he's going top. Liam wants the drag, is pushing her out of the minion wave. She's starting to run. I don't see how Lunara gets away there. There's the Swift Strike. 1, 2, and the skill steal by support. In other moments you get reported. Here you get supported. And this is very nice. First blood to 30k. Hunter's Mark. And the Lunar Flare misses because Garrosh comes in with the out of the fray.
That Sentinel from Yasuo with the snipe. Liam is going to burrow away. He does have the Lurker Strain, so he's able to bot back the enemy team and slow them, stop the advances. But that delay allows 30k to rush through the Belith Immortal, and this is going to be Alarian spawning in the top lane for the side of 30k. But a huge jet propulsion from Nasmus. Chain CCs a lot of enemy members, or at least CCs a few, but there's no big follow-up. Toss onto Yasuo. This Tyrande's trying to back away. Dino comes in with some deflect damage, trying to save another massive jet propulsion. The members of 30k clumping up a little too much, and it's reset after reset. Madara looking for a fourth one. Dahaka will fall, his body being thrown to the side, but this is a triple kill to the side of Oxygen Esports.
I think Blaze just unlocked the end of the game achievement of how many seconds of stun time. I think he already has more than the average place in the last 30 days in Storm League. He just got 2 consecutive jet propulsions on 4 players. Absolutely massive, or should I say massive, stuns there by Nazmas. And that actually nets a huge chunk of experience and a relatively cheap cleanup of the Immortal. And that turns it around.
That does turn around. I tried to check out the time CC'd, but also I realized that it counts the oil slicks and all of that, so unfortunately I can't see how much value he's gotten from those jet propulsions because it also factors in oil slick damage. But still, nearly 60 seconds to CC is the number for that one, if you are wondering. But Hanzo almost done with his level 1 questing talent. We had Fort Front Gate to fall, and here's a dive. There's a lot of damage onto Madara. Dino comes through. Switch Strike will be there. The healing from Anduin should be enough, or is it enough? There's a lot of stickiness of this Genji, and he finds the Li Ming kill. A little revenge from that earlier triple kill.
It was a very nice job by Heavy to try to body block the shurikens as Li Ming was low and outside of the cooldown of another teleport. But sticky as he was, Dino got another kill indeed with that with those final 3 auto attacks, and that's his is that his first kill? Yeah, that's his first kill confirmation. Of course, Yazu stole the other one. Wait, what happened to Dahaka? 1-on-1 loss against Traded.
Dahaka was sitting around like 25% HP as we look back at this massive fight over the objective phase, and you can see how that initial jet propulsion set up the double kill and then just the snipe to be able to get the 3rd kill into that Dahaka. But speaking of Dahaka, in bottom lane, he was around 25% HP, had a massive wave, and Lunara, she was just kind of poking, throwing out some damage here and there with the Noxious Blossom, and was able to dive and burst down this Dahaka, who did not have essence or any way to survive. So really good read from Lunara, good punishment as the Immortal phase has spawned. 10 talents here to the side of Oxygen Esports, and they are on a roll in map number 2, trying to reel things back in this best of 5 series.
There's a level 7 talent that I can get behind by Madara, the Seeker. Bonus race on the Immortal. Sometimes not the best utility in a fight, but really not bad. A little bit safer than Calamitying in, even if it doesn't have quite the same burst as the perfect Calamity combo. Hanzo Arrow misses.
It's going to go by the enemy side. There's going to be a Light Bomb from Anduin that's going to delay out the Dahaka and the Genji. There's a Warlord challenge from this Garrosh. Tyrande trying to find a Lunar Flare. Will not be able to really set anything up. Disengaged from Liam and friends as another Sentinel just flies right by Nazmus and crew. Sentinel Wisp, by the way, from this Lunara on the left side bush. You see all those red dots over the blue team's heads because they can be seen. Leap of Faith will save, but Dino jumps in onto Heavy. Garrosh low, but he's got that baseline armor, pops the Indomitable, and here comes the Immortal. Belith spawning to the side of Oxygen Esports, and this is a push for our red team. Grubby, you want to know? I found out something very interesting about Battlefield of Eternity this past week, and how you can manipulate Immortals in future sieges. You can actually manipulate which lane they go into if you don't take down the well. We'll talk about this in a little bit because there's a fight to break out right now. Maybe Bad Benny falls. Good Warlord's challenge. Bad Benny trying to back away.
Oh, nice charge by Bad Benny on his own ally with that level 10 advantage. Nazmas coming in from the side here, puts an oil slick, thinking about a jet propulsion, gets Tyrande, gets Yasu, there's a magic missile, and we have the light bomb Garrosh, he stuns Tyrande, KO in midair, as Bad Benny is trying to get away, Traded getting in close, maybe too close, he gets taunted in front of the tower, Bad Benny 6 life, but he does go down 6 HP on Genji as well, and we have Madara teleporting over the wall, confirming the kill. I'm surprised he had enough mana. An absolutely insane sequence of events here. I love to see it.
Liam trying to speed boost his way out of here, has 3 stacks on that level 1 questing talent, so he's not even moving as fast as mount speed. Burrows for a second to buy some time, and this is a lot of time being bought by Liam. Brushstock is not up for 44 more seconds. There is a... Oh, no way does this work.
No.
Sentinel Wisp will see him. No, the Sentinel Wisp wasn't in the bush. It was just outside the bush. But either way, he still gets caught now. Liam may be falling. He doesn't burrow, but he can't utilize the ability. Okay, all right.
Okay, Sentinel Wisp wasn't in the bush. It does do a reveal, right? It's true sight, right?
You are correct. Yes, you are.
It says reveals the surrounding area. I don't know if it's true sight though.
The baseline Wisp on a Wisp. Oh, she just used it, so I can't see the actual complete tooltip because it's now giving me the other factor of just moving the Wisp around. But I'll take a peek on that one a little bit later. I think it is true side. I think it's like a Hanzo with like if you threw out like a Sonic arrow, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it says reveals. I think that's how they call it. Tooltip doesn't say like sees invisible, but doesn't always do that. But yeah, maybe he shouldn't have had to move. He could just wait to brush Stalker out. But yeah, somehow they spotted him because that Wisp caught wind of him. Almost really cool.
We have a potential invade onto this camp, and while this invade's happening with 13 talent to your advantage to the side of Oxygen, actually, hold on. Hanzo rips an arrow. Hazuobs is going to try and make a play. Dragon Blade from the Genji, and this is down a talent tier. The members of 30k just get their 13 talent tier after that first kill on Li Ming. Bunker from Blaze is buying some time. He tries to jet propulsion away. Liam is harassing on the right-hand side of our screen, still chasing in. Lands the drag onto Garrosh, and it's a triple kill to the side of 30k, punishing the members of Oxygen. And I say punish, but realistically, 30k just ran right in after that huge arrow from Hazuobs.
So here's the thing. It's just excellent positioning by Dino. His Genji was the scout ward in the bush. That was the easiest arrow in the world for Hazu. And Oxygen lacking the paranoia that keeps you alive in situations like this. Is it a good idea to go in with level 13 plus against 12.9? Is it a good idea to stand here with a 5-man party and basically potentially get scouted out? Like, there are spies in the walls. There are, you know, it was a great coordination by 30k, but what were they really doing? Are they going to steal the Bruiser camp? Is that going to be a game-winning move? And then there's Tyrande Owls. The chances of them like being grouped up into an arrow, I think they want to reduce the chances for that. So never group up, even if you have a talent advantage. But that's why it was so smart by 30k to engage that hard. They played outside of the expected parameters, where it's like, well, let's just go and get our talents, guys. And when we get level 13, then we're going to fight. That's what Oxygen is paying most attention. The best teams are always able to play around negative talent disadvantage.
You made a note about the Sentinels connecting onto enemy heroes, and also, just as a note, 13 was that Harsh Moonlight for Yasu. If you land that Sentinel, you have a lot of value as you reduce the movement speed and you reduce the damage from the hero that is afflicted by the Harsh Moonlight by 35%. So just really, really cool ability right there from Yasu. Now, I made a little point right now, and we're in this little bit of a lull, so I want to bring this up to you, Grubby. I was able to manipulate the Punisher and which lane it went into by accident this week. Top lane in the map still had the keep front gate. Bottom lane had the keep front gate down. By standards, the Immortal that we win should go top.
But there was a fountain top.
We accidentally left the well in bottom lane, so the bottom lane was considered more well defended, and it went into bottom lane. So I was like, okay, I gotta bring this up, and I gotta talk to Grubby. See, it sounds like you already kind of know about this manipulation, though.
No, I've never used it consciously or became aware during a game. I have seen some weird behavior, but wasn't entirely sure what's happening. More well defended. I like that one a lot. So yeah, then you can get the better push.
Yeah, because we actually
keep.
We had a camp, and I was like, okay, cool. We're all gonna rotate top with the Immortal, and the Immortal goes to bottom, and our entire team is like, how, what? And we're like, the well is still up. So we had camp plus Immortal, and we pushed to end the game. So it's just really cool little things you can take into your own games at home if you want to try and do a little bit of feature utilization in Heroes of the Storm, but Avarian dives onto the Blaze, goes for the taunt. Here's another arrow from Hazuobs, but it will not connect. There's also a backline dive from Liam. There will be a light bomb from Heavy, but it just zones Liam away. Isolation will connect onto Heavy. There's a Warlord's challenge. No, excuse me, it's just an Indomitable from Garrosh, and he does finish out his level 1 Warbreaker quest with that last hit onto, I believe, it was one of the 30k members, but here comes another Immortal phase with camp in bottom, but the camp in top lane, Grubby, it's looking like it might take down keep if left uncontested.
Well, it looks really
big
on
one,
the
sorry.
minimap, but it's just one cast right
It's just one, sorry.
That's how you can't see it. Sometimes I go back for a Bruiser camp and it's like one doggy from the Fallen Shaman camp. It's like, okay, that was probably not worth it. But, okay, so let's see. What does Oxygen know? They don't know about this Genji. They know about this Genji. Boom, he's gone.
He will clear out the Sentinel Wisp, which is going to be down for the next 20 seconds or so. I'm just looking really quickly if it does say anything. It just scout an area can be redirected when active, so it doesn't actually say true sight or reveal. But either way, just a little bit of a hold between both sides here, Grubby.
Do you want to get some Oxygen comps? We haven't heard from them yet.
You read my mind. Let's get into it.
Push the Dahaka. He's their player
Oh,
now.
care for arrow around.
I'm just looking at
I'm just protecting Midor with the Abolish.
Yeah. You heal.
I poke. Alright, we just need Dahaka bottom.
Dahaka bottom.
Okay, watch red, watch red.
I use the
That's fine.
Abolish.
Kill that banner.
Just
I got Genji.
Arrow down. Do you have taunt?
Yeah.
We gotta
I have
walk
nothing,
away from
I
the
have
Dahaka.
nothing,
Walk
I
away
have
from the
nothing.
Have a
Dahaka.
stun maybe? Play,
Okay,
play,
nice.
peel, peel, peel.
Do we have life bomb?
Bunkering red.
Thank you.
Keep backing up, keep backing up, keep backing up. Save the bunker though.
I'm in trouble, maybe?
You're fine, you're fine, you're fine. Alright, we're all out.
Tap,
Tap in,
solo.
come back in,
Yeah,
back in. That was
I'm
arrow,
backing up.
D-strike,
Yeah, that was really good.
contamination.
Can we hurry up and get back in
Yep.
positioning?
I think they
that?
get the halftime, but yeah.
That's okay.
They won't have the rolls for it though. And we still have light bomb.
I'm looking. Just spoken.
Got slowed.
I had to blank. Alright, play burn, play burn.
Okay.
Don't have their stuff, so that's the moment we wanna.
Just don't walk under the immortal.
Yeah, I mean, we can do it just like last time. Like, just let me poke if we need to. I'm backing away? Okay.
I'm
I do
watching
need some
Rez with
space,
the
though.
Abolish.
Around,
They might go in here.
throwing him out.
No tongue. They're going in.
Ooh.
Oh, dang.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to call that.
Oh, I'm getting wrecked.
Alci's one. Oh, shoot.
Have a stun on Dahaka.
Okay, I'm hitting Doc as well. He has no E. Nice.
Okay, just
I'm taunted. I'm trying to
probably
get out.
Get out if you can.
Yep.
Let's stun the
He
peel.
heals. Yeah, just back up a
Maybe
bit.
give the immortal.
I'm hitting him
Yeah,
now.
you're solo. You're solo.
Yeah, that's arrow down.
Yeah.
Arrow,
I
that's
don't know
good.
if I have it.
Made
Yeah,
it
we,
go.
do we have to give this?
You
Yeah,
have to,
kinda
yeah.
do.
I got one shot by Hanzo.
Okay.
Where is this going? Top.
What's the 16 scatter?
They
won't have a
yeah.
wing.
Oh, it's piercing. Wow, I'm surprised he did that much damage.
Getting out of those comms, Grubby, it was a lot of really good moments and some potential shining things for the side of Oxygen. It was looking better and better, but unfortunately, Garrosh just, as we heard getting out of those comms, I got wrecked.
Yeah, and a lot of cool moments in that comms. I'm sure not everyone can remember all the fights per se, but I loved how Dahaka was creating space for someone that was getting blown up, Liam, going in there, because they were mentioning who they got. Oh yeah, Genji. They managed, at the start of the fight, they flipped and stunned Genji. And they were like, Genji? But then you see where Dahaka is, and he's like living in front of 3 members. That was a great zoning, and you can really put it in perspective when you hear those comms. A very good laydown of the final stage of that objective as well. It's really not a big concern for Oxygen to defend this. They lose a fort, maybe almost a tower. They've got good poke damage against it. And that's that. Pretty much equalized. They're still actually in the lead on the map, just lagging a bit in cleaning up the map and map vision at the moment.
Yeah, the experience is slightly ahead for Oxygen, but we'll see if the members of 30K can close any sort of gap that is forming Red Robot sitting in the bush. Will get scouted out by the Tyrande with another Sentinel. Sentinel Wisp from Lunara sitting in the bush, getting a very good radius of vision. Dahaka, I'm going to check really quickly, does have Brushstock available, so he could jump into this engagement if the members of 30K want to try and invade, because you did have Dino use the Swift Strike to back away. Is there an invade onto this camp? Seems like 30K, they're considering it, but end up going just for some wave push and just waiting for 20 talent tier. Seems like both teams will be just looking for that 20. Once we have that, though, I think that's where we will see some big explosive moments, Grubby.
Yeah, exactly. And anything is possible there. Love Yazu giving vision over and over, not to be underestimated. And as an observer here, omniscient, we're not entirely appreciative of how much that actually matters, how much Tyrande ends up offering this game through those repeated sentinels. Liam, maybe he should feel the nets closing on him and kind of back off.
He's not going to get fished out of this top lane anytime soon. We do see our Bruiser camp coming in for the bottom lane on the side of 30K, and this will also be enough experience to push 30K into the equal 20 talent tier. Skimming through, just trying to see if there's anything of note. We do have the Glory to the Alliance for the Varian banner now also increases health regeneration and all healing received for nearby ally heroes by 50%, and the cooldown's reduced by 100%. Really good talent.
Very, very powerful talent. And we got some other cool level 20s as well. Garrosh has that back and forth multi-stun action. Very, I'm not super well versed in it. I don't really dare to pick it. But
it's hard.
Good Garroshes can go like a cartoon. Boink, 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 boink on both sides with that non-stop CDR. Let's see if he can get any kind of that action going.
Yeah, the combo that Grubby is talking about is the Mortal combo with the pairing of Titanic Might, because you're able to throw 2 heroes, and you're also able to pair that into the Wrecking Ball and give cooldown reduction on the Wrecking Ball through the Groundbreaker combo. So just nice play from Red Robot, or at least pick up. We'll see if he can actually get it. There's going to be the Warlord challenge. Light Bomb, Hanzo Arrow comes through. Genji trying to live. The Tyrande healing was just not enough. Another toss goes on to Yasu. He throws the Lunar Flare in a singular spot. Dahaka comes in with the drag. Tongue trying to kill Draded, but has to burrow away. Bad Benny, Hazuabs need to leave. Bad Benny swapped, flipped. Is he going to be flopping anytime soon? Looks like he is going to try and dive to the friendly member, gets thrown away again. The Titanic Might comes through, and it's going to be a solid quadra kill to the members of Oxygen. And Dahaka, Liam, tries to find some sort of consolation prize. He tries to find some sort of value and will work on the top lane keep, but has to hearth away as there's an immediate rush into top lane to take down this keep and go core for Oxygen. Oxygen, they don't want to get 3-0'd today. They want to at least take us to a map number 3 on even footing.
I guess that answers the question whether Red Robot can get it done in the late game with the ERQ combo on Genji, with the follow-up of the Light Bomb, then actually wave of force for Madara. Got 2 kills, he finished off the Genji, and then with a great flip on someone else, I don't remember who. Fantastic play there by Oxygen. Red Robot really shining in that final fight. He always had another E available, flipped into Ronda, flipped in Varian, and it just kept going. Excellent, excellent last fight there by Oxygen. That's gonna determine the game. It was still wide open, but sadly for 30k, Genji got caught here. He was stuck in a permanent follow-up of CC by Oxygen.
It was really good back and forth consistently in that game up until that last big team fight, which just Oxygen crumpled the dreams of 30k being 2-0 here. And we'll put one up on the board. It's 1-1 in our series, and we got to get Justin back in this. Get your thoughts, your breakdown, and your analysis from Battlefield of Eternity.
Yeah, you put it well. It really was a back and forth game. Both these teams knew what their win conditions were, and they were playing to their strengths. 30k, I'll give them a lot of credit for they did get 2 really, really good fights that it's really difficult for 30k's comp to be able to get and engage like that into Oxygen. But Oxygen didn't lose too much. Both times that 30k got their Immortals, their composition doesn't really siege too well. So they sort of just sent the Immortals off to do their thing, and then they didn't get quite as much as they'd like to. Whereas when Oxygen gets an Immortal, they can siege quite a bit. And also, if Oxygen is able to play just really tight and close together like they were in that late game and just wait and be patient and look for picks, that was what paid off for them in the end. And they finally started just being a little bit more patient, I'd say, at the end there. And the patience paid off. They finally got the pick onto Dino playing the Genji. And that pretty much just cascaded into the rest of the team fight being just hard won for Oxygen. The Li Ming especially, I think Madara played exceptionally well. On the side of 30k, I think that Genji and Hasuabs on the Hanzo played extremely well. The Genji and the Hanzo ults were like the only thing really keeping 30k in the game, I think. Yasu did his best on Tyrande, but it's really hard to save someone getting thrown by Garrosh as a Tyrande, and then the follow-up with Li Ming. And it was good to see Oxygen finally just really asserting their strength as a composition in the late game, but really back and forth game, and both teams played their comp very, very well.
I really love how Oxygen came back and kind of answered the team that is 30k, because 30k with the Shimada Bros had some really, really good moments, as you were mentioning, Justin, and I was starting to be like, ooh, this is looking like a little bit of a struggle on the Oxygen side, but a few really good plays from Red Robot, and those bunkers, and I gotta say, Nasmus with the jet propulsions. Like, Nasmus, the jet propulsions in this game were just so on point. Red Robot's positioning phenomenal as well, being able to displace people, as we are seeing what is, I believe, the final fight of this last map, where good drag attempts from Liam, but just a little too split, not enough burst damage available, and Oxygen will take map number 2, Battlefield of Eternity, in a fairly strong fashion. I gotta get your closing thoughts, Grubby, as well on this second map.
Yeah, I'm just really glad that we've got a 1-1. I think Oxygen played good in both games, and it would be sad if it wasn't reflected in at least one map victory. Both teams have played really well, and I think Red Robot just continues to shine on Garrosh. Can always be critical of someone that gets picked off, but the moves that he had there, the positioning, and then the combos, it was just incredible. And I remember that from Red Robot before. So Garrosh is something to fear from him, even in the late game. and Madara on Li Ming also played exceptional. Great waves of force. We've got a game on our hands. We've got a series. There's 3 more potential maps coming, and I'm hoping it goes to distance.
We're all hoping for a full 5-game series today, and we're going to take a short little break and get ready for map number 3. It's not going to be, oh, will we come back and is it a 3-0? We're going to come back and we're going to have a few more maps for you, so it's going to be exciting here at HeroesCCL. In this break, I encourage you all to hit ! prize pool if you'd like to check out the prize pool, and if you'd like to donate towards said prize pool. We really do appreciate the support. Because of all of you at home, we've hit $2,605. So thank you all for supporting HeroesCCL. And as I said, we'll be back from a little bit of a break in a few moments to continue this amazing best of 5 series of 30K versus Oxygen. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and Cho'Gall mains to the HeroesCCL. Week number 2, day number 1. We're in our first best of 5 of the day. And Justin, I gotta ask you, what'd you get up to on your break, my friend?
I did a nice quick little walk through my front yard. Look at the trees. Did an update on the leaf situation, as it is fall now. Seeing how many leaves are left.
Are you taking progression photos? Because I gotta see these. I live in a forest, and yeah, you know, we have some trees that change color, but it's mostly non-deciduous or your pine trees. So, you know, I gotta get that Midwest, you know, tree color change fix from you. But we got Grubby here with us as well, my friend Grubby. What did you get up to in your break?
You don't want to know,
You could have said you ate fruit leathers or something. I don't know.
Yo, I got a question here to draw attention away from that mental image.
Sure.
Deciduous, what does that mean? Does that mean that the leaves fall in
Yeah, so there's deciduous and non-deciduous. Deciduous trees lose their leaves, non-deciduous trees don't lose their leaves. So like maple would be a deciduous, and non-deciduous would be like a blue spruce, if you will. So
oh yes. Let me get my monocle, the blue spruce.
Look, I have one in my front yard. I didn't know about it till my neighbor was like, dude, those are really good trees. And I was like, all right, cool, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
so either way.
The only tree stuff I know is from RuneScape. So when you're talking about all this, I don't know.
Okay, all right. I guess it's one of those things. It's like osmosis. When you live in the forest, you just start to gather this knowledge. But let's not talk about trees anymore. Let's talk about what map we're going to be heading into while we're in this best of 5 series. We're one up on both sides. We went to Towers of Doom. That was a 30K win. We went to Battlefield of Eternity, and Oxygen won a map as well. We sit 1-1 in our score, and Oxygen has chosen to take us to Alterac Pass, which means members of 30K opted for first pick priority. Grubby, what are your thoughts on Alterac Pass in this series between these two teams?
Yeah, I'm just thinking Hogger Camp spam. You got a Hogger Camp spam. You need 2 solo laners. At least that's what I thought. But then, you know, all these long-held superstitions and beliefs that we have, they kind of get tested in the CCL. And when in the game of Simplicity versus Diamond Hands, which went 3-2, Alterac Pass was played for the first time in this season. And I think the only time, and we saw Chromie Sylvanas on the sides of Diamond Hands, and Simplicity had Zagara and Vala. So double backline is possible. And in fact, worked out really well. Mene on Zagara, pushing top all game long with that Creep Tumor Vision to protect him. So yeah, maybe some cool pushes are possible. Dare I even say Azmodan? Could that be possible at all? Though I will say that Zagara is a little safer thanks to those tumors. But if there's going to be a map with some special picks, some summoners, this is the one, as summoners can actually cheese the objective and solo cap it.
Are summoners like the ones that yell meat and charge you and kill you and win the game in like 11 minutes? Because that's my experience on Alterac Pass from this past week.
Butchers?
Butcher. Yes.
Yeah, I got butchered quite hard. If you were the butcher watching the stream, please don't ever play against me again. That was terrifying. I don't like it. We literally were talking. We're like, ooh, Grubby had this idea. It told me about this idea about, you know, spawning or delaying the null camp from mid lane, and we had all this macro and everything, and we literally got butchered. And yeah, I'm still reeling a little bit from that loss, because it was honestly it was kind of scary. But regardless, let's talk about Alterac Pass in this best of 5 series, Justin. What are your thoughts draft-wise?
It's interesting to see Oxygen choose this map. They are the team that has a bunch of weird, quirky strategies, especially on a big map like this. You see Nazmaz respect for that on his Samuro being banned out on the side of 30k. They don't want to deal with the Nazmaz Samuro Abathur composition from Oxygen. I think that's smart. Both Brightwing and Dahaka are available right now, as well as Falstad. So a lot of globals making it through. Those three in particular, Dahaka, Brightwing, Falstad. I wouldn't be surprised to see one of them picked up. The Brightwing makes sense with Stukov being banned. I wouldn't even be surprised to see just Dahaka Falstad picked up right away, but they go for the Anubarak. Something that we saw last week from Masquerade playing Anubarak was that you can use the Beetles, summon the Beetles, to kind of just sneak some points on the objective like you were talking about with the Summoners. So that they obviously Oxygen has that in mind, because they took real high priority on this Anubarak, potentially giving over Dahaka to the side of 30k. So we'll see if that pays off for them or not.
But now I'm wondering, it's Battlefield, so I can't really kind of one-to-one them, because I was like, was Liam's Dahaka really strong on Battlefield? In the team fight, yeah, but it's, we're talking about two different maps, 2-lane map versus a macro 3-lane map, very much like this Alterac Pass. But a Sylvanas to come in here as well, Grubby. Want to get your thoughts as we get into the ban phase?
Yeah, both Anubarak and Sylvanas enable pushes to be very effective when relatively undefended, or even defended by fewer defenders than the attackers are bringing in. Either the Beetles or the Black Arrow provide a shutdown entirely on the structures of the defender, and that's why they're so good on these big maps. It kind of plays with how far away you can go. No more will you try a top 4-man gank on the solo laner if that means that Sylvanas could have her way with your bottom fort. It forces the other team to be more respectful of the power of your pushes.
A lot of bans on the Stitches here. I'm curious. I want to get your thoughts. Adjusting is it map priority? Can you elaborate a little bit on why Stitches ban?
So it makes sense for them to ban it on Towers of Doom. I think it also is most likely a Bad Benny pick. This is probably something that they picked up from scrims. I'm not positive on that, but I would assume that there's some Bad Benny Stitches happenings occurring. Because otherwise, it is a little strange to see that much priority on the second ban phase with the Stitches. One thing with them not picking Dahaka, okay, so Hogger priority on this map is obviously a lot because you can do the null camp quite easily with your offlaner, which is a big advantage. So to see them ban out Blaze means that they're probably focusing on looking for a one-shot with their composition. With Dahaka or Stukov and Brightwing being pick banned, there's not a lot of really good supports at saving with the exception of Anduin, and they opted for the Deckard, so removing the Blaze means that there's a good chance that, there it is, that 30k is going for a blow-up one-shot style composition. So this is very similar to what they played on Towers of Doom. I do like it. With that being said, getting Hogger 3-4 on Alterac, that's a little weird to me. I feel like maybe they shouldn't have been able to get that. I'm not expecting anything too crazy for their last pick, although they could theoretically play Abathur, but it would be a little weird. I'm not really expecting that. And I'm not expecting Vikings with Hogger being picked up, unless Madara is going to flex onto it.
While we still have you here, and I'll let Grubby keep stewing with his ideas, and this is what I was actually going to ask really quickly, why not the Chromie instead of the Li Ming for the side of 30k? I feel like Vari and Chromie is such a good synergy with the Dahaka Brightwing as well.
I think it's possibly partially a comfort thing. Li Ming is 100% win rate in this series so far. Both teams that picked it won. Also, both teams that picked Dahaka lost, so we're going to see Dahaka Li Ming on the same team They can't win and lose, so one of those is about to change in this game.
Well, Deckard is 0-2 for Oxygen, though he was part of several victories for Simplicity, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So it's interesting, but okay. I just wanted to ask you really quickly why we had that, and before we load into this map, or while we're loading in here, I want to get your quick thoughts, adjusting.
So I kind of prefer Oxygen's comp. This one, I would say, has the least draft advantage for either team from my perspective out of the other two games. I think the other two games, it was a little bit more clear who had a winning draft. This game on Alterac, it's a little bit hard to say. The Hogger, that's really strong. Falstad is really strong. I would lean a little bit towards Oxygen if it weren't for the fact that Deckard really struggles at saving against one-shots, and 30k specifically drafted a one-shot style composition. And they do have double global, so they're not going to be really lacking in macro pressure. It's real even. I'd have to give it slightly to 30k, just because it's going to be real tough to save people from the one-shot.
Alrighty, Justin, thank you for your analysis, your knowledge, your big brain as we get into map number 3 in our best of 5 series. Both teams have a score of 1, and on the left-hand side, we got 30k. Hazuabs on the Sylvanas, Yasu on the Brightwing, Bad Benny on the Varian, Dino on the Li Ming, and Liam on the Dahaka. Over in the red, we're going to be looking at our Oxygen Esports crew. We got Mater on the Chromie, Draded on the Falstead, Heavy on the Deckard, Nasmus on Hogger, and Red Robot playing the Anubarak. I'm leaning into 30k here, Grubby. I'm liking what they've drafted. I think as long as 30k and Bad Benny can kind of execute into the enemy team and find these blow-up kills, this will be a 30k win, but as you had mentioned in the draft, this Anubarak's pretty good for defense, and Falstead, well, he's in a great spot right now for the Oxygen crew, but let me get your thoughts as we've let you stew on what you could break down for us here for a few minutes.
Oh, Li Ming and Sylvanas got the entire bottom tower. A little bit of that Sylvanas skullduggery. That's something that 30k wants to easily afford. Now we've got the 4-man in the center. There's a time trap. That is still a level 1 time trap. There are none of those bonuses or debuffs yet. Overall, small little lead for 30k. And yeah, I have to agree here. Playing as Deckard into the one-shot is tough indeed. It's all about counter pressure then. I think in situations like these, you see the variant comp deleting someone and you decide to let it happen if you can't stop it, and then you try to kill someone else. For instance, a forward-stepping Li Ming would be the main target, as Li Ming gets resets on her abilities if she gets 1 kill. If Li Ming wasn't there, you could say, okay, we trade 1 for 1 and it's fine, except Li Ming gets her cooldowns back. So 1 for 1, slight advantage to 30k, and therefore I think if you can't save anyone, then you try to take down Li Ming, who is teleporting forward.
Do you like the potential of Decker Kane as well with the Emerald at level 7 to mitigate some of this Brightwing phase shift availability? But we're going to see a dive onto Red Robot, pressure applied, but no actual damage to be found for any sort of kill, as the Null Camp will be worked on through the mid lane by 30k, trying to push up their own. Sylvanas activating those black arrows, trying to speed up the push here into this fort front gate. There's another dive from the Varian, time stop from Chromie to buy a little bit of time. She did go into the Chronic Conditions, which is going to be a move speed buff to mount speed for friendly members, and it is going to be a 30% speed reduction to enemy members, which could allow the chase and sustainability of this Falstead to come through. But the chase and the rotation is into Nasmus in top lane. First blood coming out in favor of 30k. Really, really good read from 30k once again. That felt not exactly, but it felt very similar to the Towers of Doom game, Grubby, with the quick rotation into the solo laner being Nasmus.
Yep, definitely. And so far, Dahakas and indeed offlaners have had the highest deaths on both teams so far. That's the easiest pickup to get, really, when you think about it. 4-on-4, and people can save each other, but that solo laner is a target. And, you know, are they all just playing a little bit too aggressively? Have they been playing too many Storm League games where they get away with those things? Or is it truly just something beneath the surface, something unexpected where 30k or where Oxygen just shows up seemingly out of nowhere and gets those kills? And of course, it's the solo laner against the other solo that usually leads with a stun. Looks like a one-on-one honorable matchup. Then the stun comes out, the drag tongue leads to a kill.
Good rotation read from 30k as Brightwing will phase shift into the bottom lane. There's a dive onto Falstead, but he's able to barrel roll through the front gate, tap the well if I'm not mistaken. But Siege can continue through the bottom. That was already worked on by Sylvanas, as you had noted at the start of the game, taking down one of those towers. And these Archer minions, these Riflemen, will be able to shred through structures with their increased damage, but looks like Red Robot's able to back away. He does have the Hardened Carapace build. He has that Shed Exoskeleton at level 4, which gives him mount speed without the need to be mounted.
Which makes that level 2 Chromie choice so curious. You know, Anubarak is often going to have that mount speed, and now Madara can offer it too, plus a minus 30% debuff of movement speed. Why not get the armor instead to try and save against the one-shot?
You know, you make a very good point with that, and that is going to be an Anubarak getting, I wouldn't say one shot, but he definitely got bursted down there. Anubarak does have the level 1 Nerubian armor, which it increased Hardened Carapace spell armor by 20, which I believe takes it up to 60, but still, that's spell armor. There's still physical damage coming in as well.
So yeah, 30 extra physical armor. The shield, the armor, the spell shield wouldn't do anything. Now the movement speed potentially won't do anything. But then there is the movement debuff on the opponent. Maybe makes it hard for Varian or Dahaka to stick to that target. So he probably knows best. I respect Madara as a player so much.
Yeah.
That's great on a variety of different ranged assassins, and that's going to be his pick. And he's actually going to be key in order to stop the one-shot as well, by placing a time trap with that very short arming time, thanks to the level 1 Time Walker's Pursuit, 3/4 of a second. That's going to allow him to put slowing sands, a trap, in case Hager or Deckard gets caught. Maybe that's how he can save those as well. We will see.
8 seconds of channel time achieved on the side of 30k as Varian did step forward. 10 talent tier right around the corner for our 30k members, as another camp will be coming into mid lane. Immediately cleared up by Madara, but there's the value Justin was talking about with the Anubrak, but oh my god.
Yeah.
He tried to make some cheeky, channel time, got 6 seconds for the friendly team, but immediately annihilated. I do want to point out that there was a Sylvanas mind control just to continually lock down this Anubrak. I like the quick call, the execution, and the mechanical execution from the side of 30k to burst down Anubrak, finding 3rd kill in the game and a little experience advantage over the enemy side. But this will also be 10 talent here on the Oxygen side. The big thing for me, Grubby, out of all these talents, it's going to be a Hortipult for the Hogger, no Shockwave.
No Shockwave. Okay, that was a bit risky last week when we saw Hortipult. It was difficult for a Hogger to contribute when he jumps in.
I see. Maybe a dive into top lane onto Hogger. Sylvanas is up there. Does have the mind control. Looking to see if she... Yeah, because Nasmus is playing in this lane. Okay, there's the Hortipult. I was like, he's playing with what would be impunity, Grubby, and I got nervous for him. But okay, sorry to cut you off. You had a point.
No, it's good. Hortipult is now on a 50-second cooldown. Very worth it. HeroesHearth has actually been really flexible about where he's going. Now back to the Hogger camp. Really good flow and cadence by 30k. One moment, Hazu is top. Now he's taking the Hogger camp already. That's going to be faster than Oxygen. 30k kind of out macroing here.
I mean, this is, I feel like, what 30k does very well, and it's quick rotations into these lanes, but also, as you had noted, Grubby, with Hazuabs, he is kind of floating around the map. If we're going to use other MOBA terms, because I've been watching a little bit of the Worlds here and there, he's jungling, per se. He's floating around. He's not stuck to one lane. Top isn't his lane. He's where he needs to be to help out. Does he need to siege into bottom? Does he need to be into mid to amplify the null camp or help clear out an opposing side null camp? Liking where and how Hazuabs is playing this Sylvanas in map number 3, but the Alliance Cavalry is going to be coming into lane. We have Stormpike Vandar's 3 mercenaries, minions, whatever you want to call them, and we'll see how this is able to buff out the siege of 30k.
Alliance Cavalry, that's the tooltip. You got it right at first. I'm checking their name now.
I think they're just Alliance Cavalry. I know it's not Drekthar. It's Stormpike Vandar on the left and Drekthar on the right as a nice...
Alliance Cavalry, and when I look at the exact creature, it looks like a ram. So a dwarf on a ram.
So it's a cousin of Murden or Falstad? Instead of being on a bird, he's on a ram?
Oh, because every dwarf's are cousins.
Well, I mean, there's ground Murden, there's air Murden, there's burrowing in Murden from a red robot right now, but no, Anubrak is trying to pressure out Bad Benny, and it seems like top lane will be saved.
He got the isolation
but bottom lane.
Falstad, Brightwing coming in, Draded trying to get away, there's no drag tongue yet, the polymorph, the gust, Draded does get away.
It's just continued, examples of what I was talking about, just the constant macro. Here's a brush talk into the top area, or this mid lane. Stay well and listen from Decker Kane will come out. Oh my god, the read from Liam to be able to just burrow at the right moment to avoid the stay well and listen sleep. And the objective phase has expired. We'll see another one popping up around 11 minutes or so into the game. 13's up on both sides, and it seems like both teams back off, grab camps, and go for wave clear. I don't think there's a boss call just yet from either side, though.
And not yet risky. I'm looking only at the vision here for 30k. They don't see anything right now. So the Haka Li Ming are actually going to take a peek. And they see there's nobody there. Li Ming just did an on my way ping, and he starts it. He's starting it by himself. Meanwhile, Nasmas coming in, throws a dynamite, sees what's going on, and Oxygen should be coming top any moment now. The Haka dodges.
Lurker Strain buying some time here as Bad Benny's floating around in the muck. It does slow you down, so you want to make sure you're not sitting inside that little bit of a tar pit, if you will. And next objective phase will be top of the map, left and right, and it's going to be a 40-second channel time necessary from either team, and you'll have 3 jailers defending each cage enclosure.
Let's see. How is this gonna play out? Nazmas.
I know, I'm waiting too, Grubby. I know, I'm waiting like pensively because it feels like there's a fight to happen in mid.
But Robot reveals where he had been hiding. He gets taunted. That's a pretty hard kill to follow up on, it seems. He doesn't have that burrow charge shield at level 7. That's where it really comes in, that we saw that once. The shield at 7 would have saved him. Instead, he gets loads of carapace. So he's playing... He's playing for the sustain, right? I have a shield now, and I'll have another shield in 4 seconds instead of 7. Doesn't help you in the one shot. And I honestly think it should have been burrow charge shield this game.
Yeah. I believe Epicenter is a really, really good tool for that at level 7. While this mid lane fort is falling, and it's considered one of the best lanes to push because you have the constant null camps, top lane, Hogger was trying to find the fort in the counterplay. Phase shift from Brightwing comes up, and it seems like Nazmus is going to get dove once again. He throws back some dynamite, tries to find a bounce angle, but only goes by the fort, and this is going to be a taunt from Varian. No mind control. Yeah, Hebi gets the good stay while on listen, but Yasu gets a blink out. Chromie gets some decent damage, but Hebi goes down.
Oh, the gust!
Wonderful gust from Falstad. Draded sets up the kill into the Dahaka. Bad Benny split from the team. This, as you said, Grubby, was a misplay from 30k, and 30k will lose 3 members, and they'll lose a bit of channel time on this objective. I don't think it's the full objective to be lost, but some channel time will go over to Oxygen.
And I'm gonna express my wish into the wind here, and we'll see if it becomes possible to see a replay of that, because there's something I'd love to point out. Dino was trying to get the play there, trying to get the kill on Hager, on Nazmas, and when that didn't work out, 30k ended up overcommitting, and I can point out exactly why and when that happened. Of course, a lovely collapse by Oxygen, killing them there under that fort. Draded again with the MVP plays as Falstad. Now with the boss, the objective channel with 15 seconds left. All that 30k could do, let's go for the Constellation prize, their own bottom boss.
I was thinking that there would be some sort of delay with Li Ming and Brightwing on the far side of this objective phase, but it's not going to be the case. And Grubby, I believe your wishes will be met. I think we can get into that replay right here.
Nice, look at this, look at this. Actually, a little before this already, we ended up missing that, because when they tried to go for the Hogger kill, I'll just say it, Hogger has a small wind-up on everything. We see the slaughter here that ensued where Oxygen cleaned up, but Hogger has a wind-up on everything, and 3 players were looking at Nazmas, trying to interrupt either his spin or his Hortipult or whatever it was going to be. And Dino was going to Wave of Force. He was very clearly... Oh no, he doesn't have Wave of Force, never mind. Cool replay. I think it was good to see the slaughter. There was no way actually to stop him. Well, that makes even less sense that they dove like that then, because he's got Disintegrate for Cocoon.
Yeah, it's a little less control. Maybe Yasu was trying to find a polymorph or something like that, but either way, I absolutely agree. It's just it was a very overly aggressive call to go for that kill into top lane. I think 30k was riding the momentum from the early 3 kills they had, and they were like, nothing can stop us. Because trust me, Grubby, I do this in my own games. I will admit when I overcall to my friendly members, like, you know what? We had the momentum. I was, still on the, let's go in for more kills, but speaking, we have Varian diving into a Nubrak diving back in. There's a mind control out from the Sylvanas. Brushstock into the backline from Liam, who pops Lurker Strain, gets hit with a Cocoon. There's going to be a big burst into Nazmus. That Mirror Ball value from Dino coming through, but not going to be able to find a kill. And both teams will kind of whittle away at each other. No kills on either side, and a fort to be found through top, but that was actually from the boss phase. The bottom lane fort actually saved by 30k is the story that we should be talking about.
Ridiculous defense by 30k actually, because the boss did everything and the objective, a little bit. They're still ahead in XP after all those deaths and all that push. A very, very good defense. And this game is going to go the distance because you need 2 keeps in order to try and finish things off here.
There has been 1 to 2 times in the since the release of Alterac Pass that I've casted or played where you can end the game with 1 keep down, and that's usually when we're in that 20+ minute mark in the game, and it's just death timers are that long where you can fight underneath the keep, take the kill, and then really try and force that core down. But it is very difficult, as you mentioned, for anyone wondering why we're talking about this. Each keep gives the core 60 physical and spell armor. 20 physical and spell armor, and then you can basically by taking down one keep, you only have 40. So you're still... The core is still mitigating like nearly 50% of the damage you throw into it. That's why Grubby was mentioning you typically need 2 keeps down, so that core protection's only at 20%. But either way, another objective phase will be up in the bottom lane soon. Bosses will be up in 1:40 for top, 2 minutes on the bottom lane. Null Camp's up soon on either side, 30 seconds or so. But here comes that prison location. Third one of the game, bottom of the map.
The red robot got scouted. Mind control misses. That's a 15-second cooldown. As level 20 has been reached, we get the Black Arrow victory march here for 30k. That fort was always going to be theirs. Black Arrow now on a small cooldown of 26 seconds. We have Oxygen scrambling to the defense, kind of trying to cautiously scout out the rotation where Varian is. The rest will soon follow. And we're looking at that Hogger Camp, 20 seconds. Not much to do for 30k. There are no hobbies right now. The question is, how much will they reveal themselves on the map trying to clear? Right Wing will reveal himself. Dino stepping forward, starting to kill some of those cage defenders.
Grubby, it's a very tense moment. You want to get into the 30k comms and hear how they're going to play this?
Let's do it.
In we go.
Oh, no, you have it. Like, hold more. Yeah, it's huge.
Good job,
Nice.
good job.
Nice.
Really good. I have dig as well.
Walk around the sands. Maybe you
I'm looking at it.
This
I
is
think you
kind
just
of
dig
stuff,
early, yeah.
actually.
you should
Yeah,
dig
yeah.
early. I
I'm
think.
digging now,
Otherwise,
I'm digging now.
I'm flanking. I'm flanking.
Walking up.
Hogger.
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
you.
you reach.
I can't reach. It's unlucky.
Taking some
Cap
damage.
it. Chromie might stall over the wall. I'm trying to zone her.
Maybe
Yeah.
cap it.
Look at me,
Right.
baby.
Yeah, I'm looking.
I can't.
I saw.
I have
I'm
Essence.
good.
I
I'm
have
good.
Essence.
Can we
I'm
definitely-
good.
Can we
But I wanna
definitely?
definitely.
Mid and bot wave, I guess, with one.
We
I
also
do it
wanna hold
alone. You
this
stay. You
effective.
stay, Dino.
Yeah.
You stay.
You have essence then?
Yes. Chromie's walking into us.
Yeah.
There's a trap right there. Watch the one shot from the trap.
I mean, I can break it. Maybe.
They can't cap it either, by the way. I have this position.
We need people soon.
Yeah, just.
Still dead, but
I have mind
People
control.
kill this.
I have a nasty flank.
Look at me. Look at Chromie. Chromie, she's so deep. Hit her.
Yeah,
I saw that. Kill.
Oh, pass out.
Yeah.
I fought on it. It's huge. It's one.
Good job.
Nice.
It's really good.
Hogger
Chromie
was
still-
Tag boss. Maybe. No?
Hogger with us.
No. Kill them. Kill them.
I can't.
He has no.
Okay, you guys can.
Yeah,
Oh,
nice.
got
I'm
Now
going
you can
boss.
tag boss.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
boss.
Yeah.
Yep. I get the solo.
Okay. You.
I have dig up.
Yeah. Get it now.
Can you clear this in? Chromie might have. I got it. Thank God.
I need mana after
Yeah,
this.
yeah, just tap now.
The positioning, the shot calling, the intention, the planning, everything lining up for 30k as we come out of those comms, Grubby.
Yeah, and it all started with that kill on the Nubarak. Again, not that level 7 shield. And he was just standing there, and then he got charged, and he got taunted. And he's on NA ping. It shouldn't be happening. Distracted, fatal mistake, and well capitalized on by 30k. Regardless, Oxygen didn't want to let that go. They went for the 4-on-5, and Liam was able to go all the way from the bush into Chromie Falstad with really nice accuracy on his abilities, using his burrow depush to bait any barrel roll from Falstad, then the isolation drag. Excellent play. Great job by Liam. Good communication too. It sounds so clean. 30k. Yeah. Again, every start of the season, they seem like the team that's going to go top 3. They're usually not able to do it. I hope they can hold on to it, because they have such a good roster this time. They're going to go in now with that boss. I know it takes a lot of damage. Nice shots there by Madara and Falstad. There could still be a ranged mosh pit to close out the deal.
Here comes the Hortapult in from Nasmus. There will be a Soothing Mist from the Brightwing. There's that ranged mosh, the wind tunnel from the Falstad. The boss is still tanking damage onto the core. Core is sent, but the uniqueness of this map, ladies and gentlemen, you can already see it on the top right of your screen. That core will regain health. It is not going to be that permanent damage like you see in other maps, unless there's an Abathur with Mule, but there's a lot of value gained by 30k. They get the vast majority of top keep. Mid lane might be the call, but no, it's a disengage through the mid lane. Liam backs away some invisible friend value from the blinks of Brightwing. Bad Benny mounting up in that anchor position to make sure if a Nubrak steps forward, he can turn around and taunt and maybe even actually turn the dive. But we back away on the side of 30k, we reset on the map, and we look for a mid lane null camp. But Grubby, the thing that I'm curious about, will there be a mountain giant, a boss camp for top lane from 30k or Oxygen?
Oh, here's the thing, right? There, whatever the truth is, until this camp got pinged, it didn't really matter. It's like, what does Oxygen believe could be happening? And they were thinking about that boss until that very camp got capped. And that's where, okay, suddenly now it's not an issue anymore. Neither team can or wants to. Here's the thing. Oxygen is not allowed to leave mid lane. Those Hogger camp is going to kill the keep. Both keeps are at 10%. So Oxygen wants to hold on to that. Oh, Daka.
Sorry, please. I thought Liam was gonna get caught out there.
Yeah, no, very good burrow away. He uses that 75-second cooldown, and we have Bad Benny and team looking to push in and maybe get a few distance shots on the keep, but they don't want to risk anything. They're very aware that one bad gust could take them and take them out basically. So they start the boss, pretty risky.
Varian was floating just, I think, to dismount people as they were rotating in, but this boss, I feel like I think we're seeing, Chromie does scout it out with the level 1 Time Walker's Pursuit. Not only does it amplify your ability to put down time traps, but you can also see across the map. It's one of those many wonderful Heroes of Storm talents that do about 3 or 4, maybe, like Lurker Strain, about 6 different things, but still, 8-3 in kills, 23-22 in levels. We're 21 minutes into this Alterac Pass map, Grubby, and things are getting tenser and tenser as Mind Control just barely misses Red Robot.
Well, you can try again in 8 seconds.
Call of the Dark Lady gives you a 25-second cooldown off of a 40-second total cooldown, but here comes the Emerald from the Decker Cane. No, okay. I thought there was going to be more dive, more execution, but it's just going to be a back away from Varian and Brightwing. Bottom lane still being pushed out a little bit by those Reaver minions constantly coming into the lane. And those Reaver minions, they don't do excess damage to structures or anything like that, but they do have 50 armor that does allow them to be able to tank a lot of damage in these sieges. But it's, Grubby, I gotta be honest, I keep saying it's tense, but I feel like we can kind of see that in the playstyle in the latter half of this game. Both teams really don't want to step too far into the enemy side, playing safe and just kind of rotating around, sitting in some bushes, but maybe, are they setting up some sort of gank on the set of 30k?
I love it. They're expecting Falstad to go from where he is, either from the front or the backside of this, maybe catch another wave. And now they're true invisible if they stop moving. If Draded decides to go through, no, he goes to the safe side. But I think it's a very cool gank attempt. Maybe he will get the idea to take another wave soon. The Haka is showing top clearing waves. They gotta be worried about the boss. They're going for it. They could just say let's kill 2 keeps. Right here, right now, you can kill 2 keeps. But they decide not to. They're worried about the boss.
It's objective to be channeled by Red Robot. No over the wall Li Ming poke as she does get a combo into the Anubrak, but channel will help, will be had by these jailers. They don't stall out the timer like a hero does, but they still can counter channel these encampments. And Grubby, I'm sitting here, I'm tensely waiting. I'm like, who's gonna dive in first? Who's gonna make the call to jump in? Because I feel like both teams, they're a little scared to initiate the fight. Nubrak doesn't want to burrow too far forward. Bad Benny on this variant doesn't want to dash or charge too far away from his friendly team outside of the mind control of Hazuops.
Yeah, I think sometimes Hazu can just throw a mind control into a bush from really far away, kind of unexpected. Just try. And I think that's an okay way to play it. Li Ming, Dino, for the so many times, starts a boss by himself. Maybe the 3rd time now. Doesn't get away with it again. Chromie did that vision, actually saw him there, and he starts it again. After pretending with the lingering reveal to come top. He pretended. So there's this small period of time. Chromie checks you for 4 seconds, and then there's still a bit of a diminishing fog of war. There it is again. Revealed. Li Ming is revealed. They know he's still taking the boss. And he's actually able to take the boss without taking almost any damage at all. Wow, that boss is really sluggish when Dino is controlling against it. He basically killed it by himself. They can just go core with this. If they kill mid-keep, this is a go core moment, and the only concern is Falstad Mighty Gust. The objective does not matter right now, almost.
Will 30k go to contest? That is the question, because right now there is a Dahaka putting pressure onto Chromie in the mid lane. It does look like he does burrow away Liam, making sure he's able to jump into the friendly team. And there's going to be the banner in the bush to scout out the enemy side. Drada going to start hearthing out, so is Red Robot. Nasmus stalling out the objective. Sylvanas locked down the keep with her black arrows. The boss is pushing in through bottom. The Null Camp coming in for mid. Things are looking like a potential end as here goes down the top lane keep as well. So there's no armor on this core, so it's taking a lot of damage, true damage if you will. Dahaka burrowing into the back line. There is going to be a burrow from Red Robot trying to play into the enemy side. Nasmus used the Hortipult as well, trying to get into the back line of 30k. It's a lot of dive and no actual end. I actually had the exact same thought just there. I think they just burned it down so quickly.
The objective does not matter. Grubby 2021. Narrator, it mattered.
Falstad was showing in mid, and he's going to try and rotate in with the flank wind tunnel, but I think 30k is aware of this and really trying to rush out of this bottom lane so they can't get pushed back into the enemy side. Liam going to start hearthing out. There will be a impale from Red Robot, but here we still have objective phase pushing into lanes, Grubby. Was this push through mid-bottom with the boss on the side of 30k too much?
Well, they got the 2 forts. They could have done that without the boss. Then again, maybe they wouldn't. If Falstad didn't come late because he had to do other things and burn the boss, he would have mighty gusted 30k into the wall at the bottom of the core. So I still think it was the right way to play it. Boss as a distraction. They got 2 keeps without having Falstad gust them in. Regardless, the objective now took down 2 keeps as well. And we have 30k, they traded 2 nearly dead keeps, 10-15% on the red side, for their own 2 full HP keeps. Somehow they didn't want to take a straight up fight. They are actually so worried about Draded's Falstad. Falstad in general, and then the efficacy with which Draded has displayed playing Falstad last week and displaying it right now. We don't see any of the bad gusts that we usually see in Storm League or occasionally in CCL where, they didn't do that much, just gusting people away. They're really worried, just losing everything in one big fight. And now, Ancient Blessings was actually used to try and burn the boss, rather than saving it for the fight.
Mid lane is shown for a couple members of 30k, but I think this is just to pull the enemy team off the boss, leash it to full HP. Varian stepping up, looking to anchor against the Hogger, who might be trying to rotate into mid. Still is the Null Camp in favor for the side of 30k walking into mid as well. Falstad split from the friendly side. He could get ganked by the enemy team, but no. There's a mind control on to Bad Benny. The taunt comes out from the Varian. There will be a loot stash from this Hogger who's going to buy some time. Isolation with the contagion level 20 is going to spread to quite a few. The wind tunnel comes out. Varian in the cocoon will expire, and so will the slowing sands. The mid lane camp is pushing onto the core. Heavy very low. There's a taunt from Varian once again, going to be connecting onto Nasmus. Nasmus does go down. 1 kill for 30k. They back away. I think this is 30k looking for boss again. No, they're going to rotate towards the objective, getting that 50 seconds of channel time.
Yeah, Hogger there, either his spin went out of control, or he felt like he still needed to save Heavy. Heavy, who had dropped so low with that 3-man contagion, with Lee Ming hot on his heels. Or her heels, I don't know. So the 4v5 defense once again coming in now, and it is tough. Dino with the flank. Let's see, do they see Dino? They did not have vision of him. Now they do.
Mind control. Oh my god. Brushed a burrow behind the wall, but Li Ming's on the far side. She's going to continue to chase on to Red Robot. Sylvanas, Hazuab's looking to get that last little bit of damage. Li Ming blinks forward. There's that level 1 coming into play for Red Robot, the extra spell armor, but the haunting wave forward. Anubrag burrows. He's buying so much time, but goes down to the damage over time. Meanwhile, the fight is breaking out around the objective phases. We do have a polymorphed contagion spread Deckard Kane falling as well. Hogger just now respawning as 2 friendly members go down. Bad Benny, he's going to try and turn this around, and he will fall. Unfortunately, there is a variant to go down, but the objective phase now channeled to 30k. Do they end here, Grubby? That is the question that needs to be answered. No, Liam gets caught out of position. It's 2 for 2 overall.
That was such a cool play by Natsmas. So agile. Hortipult over, gets the staggering blow into the Haka, into the wall. Generals have been called. We do have Alliance cavalry coming in now, and it's 3-on-3. Oh, mind control and Falstad, but really good time trap by Madara. He's playing so good. Madara with the 0 deaths still, with over 80,000, almost 80,000 in hero damage. Natchmat's getting focused once again. Li Ming shots kind of missing. Oh, huge! Whoa! Li Ming going down. A really good save by Yasuo, extending his life and making it go for a 1-on-1. The 2 ranged assassins are still alive, but is this enough to stop the Alliance Cavalry? That's a level 26 objective. I'm really not sure it's enough.
Nubrak is back in. He's going to cocoon Hazuabs. Yasuo just trying to auto-attack his way through the cocoon to get this Sylvanas back into play. Mind Control comes out, but it's not going to connect. But what is going to connect is the damage from the Alliance Cavalry, and they will take map number 3. Almost 30 minutes, and we are 2 seconds shy of 30 minutes on that map. And you could tell the level of just how much the 30K and Oxygen rosters were invested in this victory, and it is going to be 30K coming out on top. I gotta say, the last 10 minutes or so of that game was just tense between both sides, waiting to make an initiation. And I gotta bring Justin back in here, and I gotta get your thoughts, because I'm sure you're teaming with details and information from this last Alterac Pass map.
Yeah, that was a weird game. That was Alterac showing kind of what the map does if 2 teams are just very, very closely matched. It went to level 26 for both teams. 12 kills to 6. Just, that was a weird game. I don't know how else to describe it using like a small amount of words. The last 10 minutes were so chaotic, where at one point, Dino literally just solos the boss bottom, basically. And that was strange. And I guess the boss kind of just died to the objective on the other side, so they traded it for the boss, and the objective for Oxygen just killed the boss on their core. It was a strange turn of events that they went to trade for that, and then they ended up trading essentially 2 keeps for nothing off of that play. But then they did get a pick later on, which led to the downfall. It was just, after that, it just became picks after picks for the side of 30K. But a very, very chaotic last 10 minutes in that game. I'm surprised kind of at how weak the boss is on that map late game and how strong the objective is, because they didn't stand a chance defending there. Once they got the objective on the side of 30K that late into the game, the core was just destroyed in seconds, basically, by the objective once they finally reached it. Really weird game overall.
Grubby had mentioned the prowess of Madara on this Chromie with nearly 80,000 heroic damage and 336,000 siege. What I want to point out on the opposing side of the battleground is this Brightwing, 130,000 healing in comparison to the Decker Kane's 67,000 or so.
That's crazy.
Is this a good showcase of why Brightwing is such a powerful healer? I mean, stats and numbers are one thing, but this is a deathless Brightwing that really, in my opinion, Justin, hard carried a lot of these engagements.
Yeah, I don't think you can take Brightwing or give Brightwing away without getting Stukov in return. It seems like those 2 supports are just so much above the rest. It's shown in the healing level. The fact that Brightwing has as much healing as she does, while also having her Z, which allows her to save people from a one-shot, that was something that Oxygen was lacking. You can tell Deckard trying his best with the stay a while and listen, but he has no good way. All he has is the floor juice. He doesn't have anything that can actually save them from a one-shot. So he's just got to throw potions at him and hope that does the trick. But into a Varian who's going to have healing reduction, into a Li Ming, into mind control, there's just too much. So the support difference in Heroes was definitely on display in this game, with the Brightwing just being so much more impactful than the Deckard overall.
Do you think that Uther could have worked at all instead of Deckard, or would he lack something else?
Oh, that would have been a lot better, yeah. Because the side of 30K is really just reliant on that one shot with the Li Ming and the Haka Varian. That would have been a much better pick, for sure. I would have preferred Uther.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Let's just continue the conversation of healers while we're getting ready for map number 4 between these 2 teams. Well, like, we can look at Uther, yes, and he's considered like main tank, but would you swap the Deckard out for any other healer that was available, like Alex Straza, White Main? I know I joked about Rhaegar. You don't think you can do anything else?
No.
Like, do you feel like it was just kind of it's Deckard and that's the only option for them, Grubby?
I would go with Kharazim. Kharazim or Uther. I'm not sure about Lucio, but Lucio can save someone as well, but he can also become a new target. But I think Uther, Kharazim, Lucio all could have worked and would perform a role of having 2 types of cleanse. or at least one type of cleanse. Karazim has 3 cleanses, Uther has 2 cleanses if you count D-Shield, and Lucio has 1 for one person. Also has that movement speed right afterwards. Anduin can yoink someone. I mean, we are doing the one-shot again. Was that noticeable from the beginning of the draft? Not per se. Varian was in the 4 or 5 pick, and I think that's where 30k did well to hide their total intentions. Sylvanas can go for the one-shot, and often she is, but for the rest, it's just the Haka. Like, the Haka's just solid, right? Brightwing does lead to one-shot, but doesn't need to. So they did do a good job of hiding the Li Ming variant until the end. That's why I think we should rather focus on the success rather than the shortcoming of. But what about Heavy's healing pool? His Deckard is now 0-3, and I feel like that's making Red Robot look worse than he is. Because he gets one-shot 5 times this game, but there's no cleanse. It's like, it feels like in Storm League where you need someone with cleanse because you see your opponent is drafting heavily into Kel'Thuzad and Nubarak, and you're like, okay, can we take a cleanse? And then everyone's like, well, I don't play heal, and then someone ends up going Deckard or, I don't know, like, Deckard. Deckard. Like, almost everyone has a cleanse, but Deckard doesn't, and Stukov is so broken he doesn't need it.
I think a lot of people in chat are having Storm League flashbacks of those memories, whether it be them on the Decker Cane or someone on the friendly side just being like, well, I guess it's the only healer I got. Here you go. It's my Decker Cane. But we can continue to talk about priorities in draft because we know where we're going to from map number 4 in this best of 5 fun series. We are going to be heading into Infernal Shrines. This will be the map choice of 30k. And as the losing side, Oxygen, they are the ones opting for first pick priority. We've seen a lot of fun maps here, but Infernal Shrines, definitely one of the top 3, in my opinion, of maps to be played in CCL or competitively in Heroes of the Storm. And when we get into this, does this map, Justin, change the draft priority? Are we moving away from one-shots here?
This is definitely a map where you're not going to want to play that kind of global style pick in the rotation heavy focus that they were doing on Towers of Doom and Alterac. So yeah, I'm hoping that the draft shakes up a bit from the side of 30k. Haswab's Tychus, that's something that stands out to me. He's prioritized that quite a bit in the past. This would be a good map to prioritize it again. I still think that the Brightwing and Stukov take kind of the most priority. And funnily enough, this is a much better map for Deckard, I'd say, than Alterac. So if they wanted to run the Deckard again on the side of Oxygen, this would be where you would do it. And if it seems like if they really want to run that as their 3rd best support, they need to draft it with something like a Blaze or Rosaria. That was part of what 30k must have been thinking about when they banned the Blaze in the last game. I thought that was a little strange to give them the Hogger, but just denying that second layer of save potential that the Blaze can provide along with the Deckard was a really good move by 30k. So it's not only is it a fault of Oxygen, like was mentioned, 30k is really exploiting the fact that Oxygen is not drafting to prevent a one-shot, and that seems to be what 30k thrives on. And also Li Ming, not so good on this map with all the shrine monsters.
If we kind of talk about different draft priorities and such, and denial of one-shots, as Grubby was mentioning, you know, we were talking about Uther a little bit ago. Divine Shield is a great way to mitigate those bursts, so long as obviously you can land it on the person. But back in the day, not too long ago actually, Infernal Shrines used to be the home ground of Uther, Kerrigan, Ana, and that could be a potential here from either side. I think it's such an execute-heavy composition, and both these teams could go that route. I hear you giggling, Grubby. What are you thinking?
I want to see some Dino Kerrigan. He definitely plays some of the cool hero roles, so who knows? But he's no Ultralisk who really feels drawn towards it repeatedly.
Oh man, last season the Ultralisk dive over the walls with the Blink Ultralisk combos, really, really good from that Ultralisk player as well. But we're getting into things right now, Justin, and a first pick Blaze for Oxygen.
Yeah, that might make up for the lack of Stukov and Brightwing existing on that side. And 30k opting in to prioritize the Anduin, I really like that a lot. As we mentioned, Anduin has felt sort of like the best choice after Stukov and Brightwing for saving people from one-shots, especially with that being the way that this series has gone. It's just a lot of one-shots back and forth, both teams just playing to that strategy. So the Blaze taken on the side of Oxygen to help prevent that. The Anduin taken on the side of 30k, along with the Tychus that I talked about earlier. Aswab's really, really good on the Tychus. There's the Stitches that's been getting banned. It's definitely hard to play Stitches on shrines with all of the shrine monsters, so that's a bold move to pick it this early. I wouldn't be surprised to see them ban the Varian maybe, because Varian for Bad Benny has been in like every single game pretty much.
What do you think about the Stitches into Anduin matchup? When Stitches was so popular post-buff, I kept picking Anduin into him and went like 0-5. Was I just not playing it right? Or what do you think in general?
I think in
this matchup,
in general, Anduin should be a pretty good matchup into Stitches because you can pull people if they get gorged. That being said, that's pretty dangerous, so that relies on a lot of teamwork from your team. You need a lot of support from your team to do that. So in Storm League, it's definitely
walk forward into a long range hook gorge and then be fine.
Yeah, you need like your whole team to kind of just bodyguard you and walk with you to get in there.
Got it.
One thing that good Stitches that are better than me do is they'll look for Anduin to stand still while he casts his Q, and then look to hook the Anduin. So we'll see if that happens this game. That's something else that you can do in the matchup.
Really like the ban onto the Anubarak as well from the side of Oxygen, denying the denial of Anubarak, because Cocoon just spits out whoever gets gorged. So if that was the case, I like Oxygen kind of saying like, all right, there's none of that shenanigans, but some aggression with a Hanzo Greymane, Grubby.
A lot of damage coming in there, and now we're going to see if Bad Bunny's actually going to tank, or they're going to do a swap with Varian perhaps coming in and Leoric being passed to Liam. Leoric, of course, can stop a Gorge Stitches, but I find that Hanzo Greymane pretty much destroy Leoric, and Tombs don't have much catch on those, and they have insane damage into a tank, and it is going to be that swap.
All right, so we have the Varian last pick. Of course, just saying, before I get your thoughts, is this a Colossal Smash Varian?
I'm not expecting it to be Colossal Smash Variant. It's probably going to be Taunt if Bad Benny's playing it.
That's fair, but I want to get your thoughts, your breakdown on both these drafts, and who could take Infernal Shrines map number 4.
So I think we're kind of running into a similar problem with drafting the Malfurion here. They do have the Blaze with Bunker, which is pretty good protection against the one-shot from the Varian. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. On the other side, you have Leoric, who is really weak into double auto-attack heroes, which you have Hanzo and Greymane, which is pretty much the worst you can go into from his perspective. But the Varian really doesn't mind playing into Hanzo and Greymane. Also, Greymane, I think, is going to have a really, really hard time getting in range this game. I think stepping up on Greymane is really, really difficult, especially with a Malf as a support. It's not really reliable save. So I think Oxygen is going to have to play more aggressive than they would like to in order to win with their draft. So I'm leaning a bit into 30k here.
Alrighty, Justin. Well, thank you for your breakdown, analysis, and thoughts. We'll see you after Infernal Shrines, because we are here, loaded on in, and the big question that I got to pose to the 30k members in blue, can they close out the series in a 3-1 fashion? We're going to find out through Infernal Shrines here, as Hazuobs is on the Tychus, Yasu on the Anduin, Liam on the Leoric, Dino on the Falstad, and Bad Benny playing this Varian. Over in the red, we're looking at Oxygen Esports, and, well, they're going to be trying to continue this series and take us into a map number 5. Nasmus on the Blaze, Draded on the Greymane, Red Robot playing Stitches, Mater on the Hanzo, and Hebi to play Malfurion. Grubby, I'm going to call for a 30k win. I want 5 maps, but 30k, they've got good momentum. I think they're playing really smart here. What do you think getting into Infernal Shrines?
I'm going to give it to Oxygen. I think their Stitches and their lethal Greymane Hanzo composition, together with Nasmas's Blaze, who got this respect ban in game number 3, and so many stuns in game number 2 on Battlefield, I think it's going to do it. Stitch's late game is still phenomenal, and Malfurion is the greedy choice with it. His Innervate allows Hook to come back slightly earlier than usual, and his Root is fantastic follow-up. Why is it greedy? It's because you don't have as much burst protection for people per se, but I think it can work out really, really well. And Stitches is so good late game, where Varian can seem unkillable in straight up 5-on-5s where everyone is supported. I like what Red Robot was doing there, by the way. Just to interrupt myself, sorry, I forgive you, but he pretended like his team was in the bush. He was staying in front of 3 people by himself, saying, "I got my dudes with me." But they weren't. They took account. I feel like that's what he was doing, because you would think maybe he can get killed there, but this is something that good tanks can do, especially against good players. Implied allied presence. Like, I wouldn't be here without an army.
Right.
Said person who had no army.
So the lone spy who snuck into the back line sort of deal. But it is, I absolutely agree. Just the anchoring from Red Robot and just the positioning is a very good point to make as well. Madara just trying to clear out the wave as this is a quick rotation into the bottom lane to be able to put more pressure for Oxygen side and grab that camp experience. Falstad grabbing the Fallen Shaman camp a little early, but since the objective Frozen Punisher will be in top lane, I think early is probably better, if anything, Grubby.
Yeah, I think it is, because think about it this way in terms of your travel path. Do you want to go up at 235 to defend it, only to then try to find another hobby for the next 25 seconds, and then need to come back top? Do you want to be parked 25 seconds top? That's what we were thinking, but are we overthinking things, Baha? Because Anduin, Yasuo, he's just standing there and waiting for the perfect time anyway.
You know, I thought you and I had this big brain moment where we were going to be like, oh yes, look how smart we are as casters. And then it was just like, hold on. No, you're wrong. But I actually also thought it was the ability, and it's not the longest cooldown on a camp, but still getting it out early allows you to then force pressure into the top lane before the next objective phase a little bit later. But either way, let's go ahead and focus in because we have a jet propulsion from Blaze connecting on to Leoric, and the waves will be cleared out. Though I gotta say, Oxygen's wave might have a little bit more priority as Bad Benny's was angling for a flank, but not the case. Just trying to get the Lion's Fang value into the wave clear for this variant. Falstad Stitch is still in the mix in the bottom mid area as jet propulsion from Blaze will be eaten by a root. And Falstad actually almost getting the kill into Red Robot.
There's a lot of damage coming into Red Robot there, 900 health, and unless he hits a hook on Falstad, he can't eat, and if he can't eat, he can't heal. Meanwhile, Madara trying to get some stacks on his scatter arrow. The lead has been retaken by 30k, who had also been doing a lot of split pressure. Now with the attack on Blaze, he nearly goes down. I think he can count his lucky stars that he survived. Dino is going to try to get the kill from the side. Hammerang Nazma's not looking. Where was he? And Dino flies away. The hook hits into him as flying was initiated. Man, Dino, welcome back from vacation. You look rested.
Yeah, he had a lot of fun on a ski trip apparently, and was able to really kind of see the lines that the enemy team are going to be traveling in. And I honestly, that kill right there was so surprising because I was about to be like, oh, Nabi came through with the Nature's Cure to save Blaze from getting bursted down, and then of course it's just Hammering, one singular Hammering comes through, bursts down that Blaze, and First Blood does go over to the side of 30k, as well as this Frozen Punisher, which should find the top lane for it, but a great hook will connect on to Hazuabs. There's going to be a root on the ground as well, but the Leap of Faith from Anduin will mitigate the hook value. So Hazuabs being pulled around by Anduin and Stitches, and I think this Anduin pickup was actually really, really smart into the Stitches to deny some of those hook moments, at least for now, as Drada gets picked off in mid lane. Hazuabs and Dino finding a lot of very good value on this Falstad and Tychus duo.
The 30k is kind of outplaying Oxygen here, and I'm not just saying that because of the rotations or because of the kills or the results that they have so far, but just the way in which they did it. Normally, there is a small advantage. For level 4 to 9, level 4 to 12 even, usually Variant team has a small lead over Stitch's team, and I'm calling out the tanks because they are the primary way of engage. But it's the ranged assassins here on 30k that have just been getting kills. Specifically, Dino has been part of a lot of them. I mean, even not just the kills, but the almost kills that he's gotten, and the way in which he did it, it feels like Dino is smurfing a bit. Like he is a Masters player that made a new account and is currently at Platinum. And, you know, that's nothing against Oxygen, but Dino's just playing phenomenal here. And it's cool to see him in the CCL performing at such a level. But now we're going to see the counter argument. Objection, Your Honor, says Oxygen. Because level 10 is going to be reached, what can Stitches do there?
Well, he might fall in this Entomb, as that does come through. Wraithwalk from Leoric to the fall side to body block the Stitches after the Entomb.
Objection overruled.
I have never seen that before, Grubby, but that was amazing from Liam. To basically be like, okay, Entomb's gonna end, this is the corridor where Stitches wants to just immediately run away, I'm just gonna go put my giant skeletal body in the way, and he can't go anywhere. That was a phenomenal read and play from Liam setting up that kill.
Yeah, turning it from a 4-second entomb into an infinity entomb. That's buried alive already at level 10. So Gust Light Bomb charge! This was such good coordination, 30k, and they're gonna get paid off big time with the double kill. Maybe Falstad goes down. Wait, hold on a second.
Heavy.
That's illegal.
I was about to make a note to be like, we got to clip that right there, but the layered CC was extremely good from 30k. The response of Heavy, though, was well read. They do lose, yes, the Greymane, but Heavy was able to survive and keep a few friendly members up, as well as Dino's got the read with that barrel roll. I think that was the last chunk of mana that Dino actually even had, and will be forced to hearth away. But big thing to talk about right now, Mortar Punisher coming up soon for the bottom lane, and this is already has an Impaler camp pushing in, and the Fort Front Gate is gone. If 30k can get this Punisher, they could be threatening on to keep Front Gate through the bottom lane.
Well, now Heavy stayed alive there. He must have hit some big fat moonfires on multiple enemies.
Get Tranquility too, yeah.
Yeah, coupled with that Tranquility 10 armor. Overall, really cool. It's still 4 kills for 30k. They're going to crawl into level 13. Again, Yasuo delay that cap quite a bit.
It makes sense, though. The objective phase hasn't been announced. You want to typically delay these things. And 30k is saying, I wonder if Oxygen has the exact same thought as us, because 30k is not, or excuse me, Oxygen's not showing on map. Bad Benny in this bush is just going to be able to kind of slink away.
What do you think about that hook? Yeah. Like, when Falstad hits you with a hammerang and is walking away, are you really going to hit a hook when he still has barrel up?
Maybe in a half a level when you get 40% range, because that's honestly, Grubby, the big thing I'm waiting on is Nasmus pops the bunker on the far side of this entomb, but here comes the taunt from Varian. Good catch from our observer, as we will see the blaze going down. But the question that I want to pose to you, Grubby, is does this engagement, does Oxygen's draft come online at 13 with this extra range, or will Dino just go ahead and, barrel rolling away?
Yeah, that's the question. So far, Dino has been pooping on them like a bird with impunity, and there's nothing they can do about it. In the meantime, level 13 is reached, and now we're going to see a little bit of that Greymane action. He turns on his Inner Beast. He starts to do some big damage. Madara, of course, not fully stacked yet, 17 out of 20. Doesn't have arrow either, so there's no additional method of engage for Oxygen. It's just Blaze with a flank and a stun, or it stitches his hook. With the arrow, you would have a third way, but now you've got the zoning, follow-up damage potentially, and of course the level 20 power spike. But we're level 13 stitches. We're gonna need to see some hooks and gorges connect, or this game is gonna spiral out of control.
Hook is going to be lined up over the wall, will connect onto Hazuabs, but there's actually a little bit of the side wall that gets in the way of that. It just goes down after the hook will end. There's a light bomb, but I think this is more of a disengage from Bad Benny, maybe a miscommunication in comms right there, but it doesn't matter. Punisher continues to push in. Falstad flying in Omega aggressive positioning right now. Dino, I think, was looking for a gust, but I think everyone kind of readjusted their positions as Blaze was going to try and flank in. This Punisher baited towards the core, finds about 25%, maybe less than that on this bottom lane keep, and I think 30k back away, look for the 16 talent tier, and that when 13, excuse me, God, that Wraith Walk, when 16 is hit by the side of 30k members, that should be the go button, the gas pedal, the shift in the gear from 30k to really charge into Oxygen.
Yeah, they get the spell power banner there, presumably for Varian to give more damage into Overkill, into Odin abilities, into Falstad's Hammerang. And spell damage is so good because Hammerang Boomerang reduces the spell armor. It's the first skill. That's the first skill and the quest for Hanzo. Madara was like, hey guys, can you do like no more than 620 damage? Because I need to complete this quest here. Just imprison Leoric for a bit here for once.
It's a good point. Leoric did get Hook Gorge picked off, and that might delay out this a charge from the side of 30k, but here's the big thing to note with Leoric. He is he's the Skeletal King, and he can respawn on the map rather than having to spawn back at the core. So this is Leoric respawning in bottom lane, going to clear out waves. Falstad sitting in the bush in between top and mid, scouting out for the friendly side, and Greymane just trying to throw Gilnet and cocktails to push back this wave through mid lane. Seems like Oxygen, they have no interest in trying to fight down 16, but Hazuabs wants to force this as there's a hook out from Stitches, a root from Malfurion, big gust from Dinos, there's an Entomb onto Heavy, he pops the Tranquility trying to stay alive, the bunker comes down from the Blaze, Liam so very low, and Madara misses one arrow, but Greymane, do you have the auto? Yes, he does, gets the kill, Greymane Dark Flights in, Hanzo, agility over the wall, Bad Benny gonna get scattered by the arrows, and Greymane finds the last auto. Tychus, Commandeer Odin will end, Chastise to dissuade the enemy side, but a double kill goes over to Oxygen, and they breathe some life into this map, building back what could be the comeback potential for our Oxygen crew.
I'd love to see a replay for that. There was so much forms of incredible from both sides here. Of course, Blaze, like Nazmat with the bunker, Heavy getting trapped there, but saving himself with Tranquilities and Moonfires. So many cool moments there. Leoric, of course, was still a little bit low because they had the Hook Emerald Dream on him before. Really cool and creative Gust engage as well. One of many so far this game, and we're only at level 17, 12 minutes. Very, very cool fights here. And Oxygen managed that chaos. We've actually got the replay here, Bahamut. Let's check it out.
Alrighty, break it on down for us, Grubby, as we can take a peek at this replay. Liam grabbing that camp.
So Dino comes in from the back, does a gust, everyone is ready. The immediate Entomb on Malfurion, and then you've got Varian jumping on him, but he can't get the taunt because the Entomb is just a little bit too fat. Nazmas with the bunker over the wall, and you're able to actually get into that bunker when it's touching the Entomb. Beautiful scatter there, scatter arrow by Madara, and the turnaround is complete. Super, super cool moment there. Big props to Dino and Leoric there. Leoric first played by Liam to try and get that kill on Malf. Just not enough follow-up possible, partially because Bad Benny on Variant, he couldn't connect with the taunt.
Meanwhile, while we were taking a look at that replay, hold on, there's a Gorge onto this Leoric, but he's actually kind of fine. He's going to Wraith Walk through the enemy team, reducing the damage. Bad Benny comes in with the charge and the taunt, finds the kill into Stitches, but Liam, he's so very low. That's going to be a Leoric to follow. He can cheat death and respawn in the engagement, barrel roll forward from the Falstad, but he eats a Jet Propulsion from Blaze. Malfurion goes down, the Gust from Falstad pushes the enemy team kind of out of the engagement, with the objective phase looking good to the side of Oxygen. 35 Skeletal Defenders out of 40. A good scatter arrow from Madara as well, picking up a few more of those Skeletal Defenders. But now we have Dino barrel rolling forward to get the kill, and it's a triple kill over to the side of 30k, though Draded is able to sneak a last few Skeletal Defenders. I do want to point out, Grubby, when we were looking at that replay, in bottom lane, Falstad was pushing up and found a lot of damage into that bottom lane keep. There was Siege in the mid lane as well that got the fort. Things are looking really good for 30k as we're getting into that post scale, not post scaling, but into our 20 talent tier area of this game. Punisher and top will fall.
I give 10 subs to chat if Hazuops dies to the Punisher there or Bad Benny, because they were both dropping pretty low there. But no, it doesn't look like it. Hazuops actually is going to pour it out, because we had the two-man defense. You guys can't see it, but two-man defense. Thanks, Buzz. So they continued the defense, and yeah, it didn't do anything. But like you said, the biggest damage was dealt by Dino on Falstad. Yeah. So much damage into that bottom keep. For the rest, though, despite Oxygen going 1 for 3 in their not favor, being able to clear up all those lanes, I still think it's a sigh of relief. They haven't lost any keeps. At least they got the objective.
Nice banner to scout out Stitches, who was sitting in that bush waiting for some sort of Gorge Hook combo. And this is going to be bottom lane pushed back up. And there was the moment of relief for Oxygen, but now they have to turtle up for the next half level, looking for the 20 talent. Falstad, he's epic mount. Falstad going to be going for a little bit more maneuverability around the map. That is a 50-second cooldown on the 75 seconds. So he has a 25-second cooldown to maneuver around the map. Dino gets hit with the hook, but no Gorge. Entomb will connect onto Red Robot. And this is actually going to be no buried alive. It's going to be the Burning Despair. There's a flight light bomb in from Dino. That's the reason we're seeing that, because of the faster channel time. Flight bomb, Grubby. Oh, I love it.
Wow, now we know why. I'm glad you pointed it out. Now we know why. Red Robot taking a lot of damage. He gets out of the nuke. Big Moonfire hit there by Heavy. Heavy 60 seconds for his next Tranquility. Does he have the Serenity? Will he have the Serenity? Let's see. Level 20s are being picked. 45 bunker. Draded walking up big time. Nasmas misses the Jet Propulsion, but there's still a lot of damage coming in. Madara, this is where Madara can fight really well. And the Mighty Gust with the disengage. The hook missing by a hair's breadth.
If that hook connected, that would have been a really devastating, pick in favor for the side of Oxygen. As 30K, they got the bottom lane keep, they cleanly disengage, and for anyone that doesn't know, Epic Mount, reduce the cooldown of flight by 50 seconds, reduce the cast time before flying to 0.5 seconds, and increase the speed by 50%. So that is the reason we're seeing this light bomb combo.
Check out,
please.
the light bomb upgrade as well.
Fire,
40% move speed, 50 armor. So Falstad turns from a 3k HP ranged assassin into much more than that, like double, right? 6k HP for a bit.
Hungry Stitches is going to be very hungry in the Hall of Storms for the next 60 seconds. Light Bomb will connect onto Liam right now as Nasmus is going to be rooted and booted, and that's going to be a double kill over to the side of 30K. Falstad with a big fight. Here comes the gust. Heavy delivered into the arms of Varian, and Varian says, "Good night, sweet Heavy. You will fall with the rest of your other members," and it's going to be a triple kill to the side of 30K, who are considering ending this game, ending this series in a 3-1 through bottom lane. Let's see, is it doable?
It should definitely be doable. It is the ranged assassins here, but they have 0 CC among them. Absolutely none. And if this doesn't end the game, that's 5 gift subs for me right here, because I think 30K is going to do it. We have the Epic Mount coming in. He puts a lot of damage on Hanto. Greymane trying to do what he can. Gets the Curse Bullet in. The core lost its shields. 30K is going for the 3-1 victory, Bahamut.
And 30K will be able to deliver. Hazuabs with the big red button. Madara trying to zone with some arrows. Leoric's Entomb, doesn't block Madara from getting into the Hall of Storms, but that is game number 4 over to 30K. A wonderful series, good back and forth. Oxygen looked very, very strong, but I think 30K just had the answer for any question poised to them. It's like, okay, hook, gorge, stitches sort of deal. All right, we're going to Anduin. We got this Falstad. There was so much good response from the side of 30K in draft, in playstyle, and in map coordination. Got to get Justin back in here and get your thoughts, your breakdown, and did things go as expected for you for this map?
Things went about as expected as it could be, but a little accelerated because 30K was playing kind of out of their minds that game. It was, I thought that 30K had a better draft, but they really, really just didn't take their foot off the gas that whole game. It was kind of just nonstop, just barrage of Falstad. Dino completely destroyed the enemy team that game. Dino was having the game of his life. He was off-screen flanking, getting kills, like when he caught Nazmaz behind the gate and just kind of threw a hammering and just flew right out of there with three people trying to kill him. Like, Dino was popping off that game. At one point, the full bomb was called. He went Epic Mount and just jumped himself in there to light bomb on the enemies. Like, I think he was feeling himself at that point. Like, I think they were kind of like almost toying with their food at that point. The series really felt like it kind of fell apart for Oxygen in this game 4. They tried their best. It was close series back and forth. I think draft played a major role in these games. I think that there was definitely a bit of a draft diff in pretty much all of the wins for both teams. And when I think it's obvious that a team has a draft advantage and that team wins, that's good. Like, that means that both of these teams were playing at a really high level. And because if you have a team that's like maybe the 8th place team versus the 1st place team, and obviously we don't know that yet, it's still early on, the draft difference might not really make a big difference. But in these games, it was pretty evident. And 30K definitely was the better team though today. Still excited to see Oxygen later on, but that was a good way to close out the series, to have just Dino and Liam popping off in their respective roles. Just 30K just dominating.
I need to ask you one last question really, really quickly here. Why Hungry Stitches at 20? Why not Master Hook or Gasbag?
I think
in my opinion, you usually get Hungry Stitches when you can otherwise not win the team fight. Because it's the worst choice, but it's like the one that can save you. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's kind of like the desperation sort of thing. It can have the highest impact if he was probably feeling a little bit desperate. I'd agree with that. I think he just needed the extra oomph.
I was just curious because it's not the standard we see at 20, so I just want to get your thoughts on that because we already have our interview ready to go with Bad Benny, and so we can get him in the mix and start asking him a few questions about that series. And Bad Benny, can you hear us, my friend?
Yeah, I can hear you, but unfortunately, like the video link doesn't work. I don't know why. It was the same last time, I think. So. Yeah, only voice.
Well, at least we can hear your beautiful voice, and I want to say congratulations on your 3-1 victory. How are you feeling after that series against Oxygen?
Feeling pretty good. I mean, I entered a bit in the first game, like some miscommunication. Actually, in the Alterac game as well. In the end, there we have a few miscommunication things we need to work out, and it showed a bit with like me being in places where my team wasn't. Okay. Maybe you noticed a few times. Maybe. But overall, I'm happy with the series. I think I did fine. I think my team did good, and I mean we won. So.
Hey, you did win. You played really well. I learned a few things from your tanking as always, but I don't want to hog all the questions. I want to let Justin ask you a question or two as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seemed like you had a lot of priority on the Varian. If you could talk a bit about why that was.
I mean, we didn't pick it that early, right? Like, but I think it's a solid tank for sure. Like, I think it's Varian and Anub are like the best all-around tanks because they're never bad, and Anub has of course higher prio and is better if it's the better draft for it. But the Varian is like it's so brain dead and gets so much value in every game. Like, it's even though we lost one game with it, but Dino kind of sprinted it in the end there. But yeah, the Varian did work there as well, I think. But only if you go,
really
only
good.
if you go my build though,
Yeah.
not the build Red Robot.
Okay. We'll have to make sure that we get your build here. Grubby, any questions for Bad Benny?
Yeah, Bad Benny, congrats. I want to ask you how much individual autonomy, independence, does every player on your team have when it comes to making decisions such as ability choices?
Completely full autonomy, I guess. Everyone can decide by themselves kind of what they want. Of course, I mean,
no cleanse, only healer.
Yeah, that's fine. I trust Yasu to make the right choice. If I think it's super grief or anyone else thinks it, then of course we will point it out. But in the end, I mean, we can't force him to pick something if you think the other thing is much better. So.
That's interesting, and it's very trusting of one another as well. We had a quote here. I don't know if it's correct. Someone that came from Hazu's stream, where Hazu said Epic Mount was maybe. It was correct. Because you guys had the flight bomb combo.
Yeah.
Like at what point does that come up? Where he's like, "Hey guys, check my level 20," and everyone is like, light bomb me, trust me, bro. Or is that something you guys practiced?
We hadn't practiced it, but it wasn't something he did in secret. He said like when we were about day 20, but I think Epic Mount is good here, and I also think it's really good here. I've actually been playing some Falstad myself recently, so I saw the potential of it, and I also play Epic Mount quite a bit. The light bomb combo was ambitious and maybe a bit too deep when we tried it, but I don't know. We had a good position still, so even if it didn't get a kill, like they can't really punish us if we try, I think. So it was a good attempt.
50 armor, yeah, really cool. You guys showed very entertaining and strong gameplay.
Thank you.
It was a really, really good series, Bad Benny. Congratulations once on your victory. Before I let you run out of here, are there any shouts that you'd like to give? The floor is all yours.
Shout out to 30k, my team, and hopefully we pull off another win next week. Keep on the streak.
Well, we will see you next weekend on Sunday, November 14th, up against Storm Esports. So good luck in your scrims, good luck in your practice, and we will see you next Sunday, my friend. You have a great afternoon.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us. Oh, and very humble, very, very nice to talk to. And we got a little insight. Apparently, he has the best Varian build. And I just have to say this because I just noticed it on the screen. We just hit $3,000 for here at HeroesCCL. So I want to thank everyone at home for supporting HeroesCCL. Thank you so much for hitting ! prize pool and checking that out. And so while we bask in the glory of HeroesCCL community, we also need to bask in the knowledge that Justin has. And Justin, I believe you have a top clip of the day for us to break down.
Yep, we've got my Wisdom super mega play of the day coming up here. And the clip that we're going to look at is between 30k and Oxygen on Battlefield of Eternity. So if we can bring that clip up now, and if we can just pause the clip at the start. So the game begins, or the clip begins here with Oxygen being a little bit greedy, playing around the night camp. This was the game where Oxygen had a lot of saves for their team. They had just sort of a juggernaut of a meatball comp where they sort of just move as 5, and they're pretty impenetrable. So 30k has a comp that is basically the exact opposite of that. They need to force engages and just fight really fast, whereas Oxygen's trying to do the opposite. But Oxygen kind of overextends here, and so you can roll this clip. They think they're safe because it's 13 versus 12, but they're not safe. Dino was actually just lurking in the brush. The first part of his ultimate there actually dodges Red Robot's ultimate. And from this point, they're just completely caught off guard. They don't expect it at all. Liam digs in immediately, and he starts flanking, and he starts chasing into the backline. This clip was almost just Liam Haswab's arrow and Dino
Genji.
on the Genji. They almost just 3v5 the enemy team there in a composition that strongly favors Oxygen Esports in that situation. So you could tell that even in a game where I would say the draft was heavily favored in Oxygen's favor, that was the game that Oxygen won in the series. 30k still had a moment like that where against all odds, against the draft, it didn't matter. They still managed to pull out a team fight like that, which just shows the prowess of those players. So props to those 3 especially, in particular in that clip, for just completely owning. It was a really cool team fight from them.
Well, thank you for the Wisdom Super Omega Power Play of the day. We very much appreciate that, Justing. And the question I actually have to ask you is, when we're talking about this clip still, and Liam specifically on the Stahaka, is this a good example? Is this something that people at home should be looking at when they're trying to pick and peel as the solo laner jumping in the backline?
Yeah, so something with the Haka and most of the tanky bruiser offlaners that are meta right now is once you start getting ahead in a team fight, if the enemy loses even 1 DPS, which anyone really, you become so tanky that they really can't stop you from doing anything. So if possible, if the fight's going to continue, you can pretty much just beeline for their backline, which is something that we saw in a lot of games. Like we saw Slug Hunter on Urel doing that in one of the clips we saw from the previous week, where if you could just get into the backline once you're winning a fight, it becomes a really big problem, and that's part of the reason why these tanky offlaners are so meta right now.
No, I'll definitely have to try that into my own games. And thank you, as always, for your big breakdown of the day. And we can actually continue to break things down for all of you at home. Take a look at this tier. And Grubby, how are you feeling about what these standings are looking like?
Wildheart, of course, the unwilling benefiter of a free win there over Storm Esports, as they couldn't field a participation today. Sadly, 30k with the deserved and very dominant start to the season with a 2-0 there. A few teams there with just 1 game played. We're going to see more teams playing tomorrow, and then we'll see truly the separation of the top of the pack and the bottom of the pack. Only Simplicity is able to get another 2-0 here in the league. Many other teams, at best, can be going for a 2-1 or a 1-1 indeed.
Yeah, we can show you what those matches tomorrow will be looking like soon. And as Grubby had mentioned, the members of Storm Esports have chosen to take the forfeit today due to the fact of the not being able to field a full roster. So we at CCL, we tried our best to reschedule to work around all this. Unfortunately, the Storm Esports crew did choose to just take the forfeit. But we look at tomorrow's matches, Justing, and what is the big blowout match for you?
I'm definitely most excited to see Chili Mountain versus Simplicity. Both of these teams had kind of rough series last week. Chili Mountain got 3-0'd by Wildheart, and Simplicity managed to come back in reverse sweep against Diamond Hands. So yeah. Simplicity, everyone was expecting to be a lot stronger than they were. Although they won, it was definitely not clean by any means. And Chili Mountain, I had a lot of much higher expectations. I knew Wildheart would be pretty strong, but they really beat up Chili Mountain pretty bad last week. So I'm hoping to see, I think this will be a really close series, and I'm hoping to see Chili Mountain bounce back after their defeat in week 1.
And we do have an exciting day of games tomorrow, and I want to remind everyone at home that the U.S. time zone does change tonight, so we will be starting Sunday, November 7th at our normal start time of 11 for Pacific, 2 o'clock for Eastern, and 20 CET for Europe. Make sure that you mark your calendar, set your alarm clocks, because we were starting 1 hour earlier for Europe in the past 2 broadcasts. So just make sure that you are not showing up too early. Actually, you know what? You can show up early and just hang out on Twitch chat. A lot of us are already here just, hanging out. So you can definitely hang out if you want to a little bit early. But that is the start time for tomorrow's games. Let's reel things back here really quickly, Grubby. Do you have any takeaways from today's match?
Well, we haven't seen a whole lot of Li Ming in this season yet. And we saw her not just on Battlefield of Eternity, but in many of the games, winning pretty much all the games as far as I know. Did she get played in the 4th game here just now?
No.
What was that, Li Ming? Yeah, so Li Ming won everything today. Deckard, not so much. Dino has come to play and is looking just incredible. Really looking forward to see what we're going to get from him next time. So far we have, I think, the 2 teams that looks best so far is WildHeart, who we've only seen once, and 30K. So can't wait till that clash between those 2 either. The level of play is high again, and it's getting higher and higher. I'm excited.
Yeah, that'll be week number 4, November 21st. That'll be our 4th best of 5 in that weekend. So the last best of 5 in week number 4 will be the one that Grubby's looking forward to. But Justin, same question to you. Any takeaways, excitement from today's game?
It seems like teams need to maybe prioritize the Brewing and Stukov a bit higher. Teams that have gotten those have looked pretty strong. No one knew that Li Ming was strong, I guess, until today. Dino really showed up. Dino is definitely refreshed from the vacation that he had. Really, really popped off today. And for me personally, in this last match, I was putting Nazmaz and Liam as kind of the top 2 offlaners. And I'd say that after this, I can go ahead and put Liam a little bit ahead of Nazmaz. So for the for that, he won out in the...
At least today.
Yeah.
Liam looking like a dominant force in the solo lane. We can maybe learn a thing or 2 from him in the future matches. But as I mentioned, that is going to be our matches for today, Saturday on HeroesCCL. We look forward to the 2 best of 5s tomorrow, Sunday, November 7th, at our normal start time. Be sure to be here at 11 a.m. PST, 2 o'clock EST, and 20 CET. From Grubby, Justin, and I, we wish you a wonderful afternoon. We'll see you in the Nexus. This has been HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom.